Good evening, everyone. This is the opening of the meeting of the Air Shirley Regional School Committee on Tuesday, March the 2nd. And we will open tonight with a public hearing for the budget. But I need to make the announcement that those attending tonight's meeting should be aware that the meeting is being audio and video recorded by Air Shirley Regional School District. Any audience members who wish to record any part of the meeting must inform the chair, who will announce the recording. This is to comply with the Massachusetts wiretap statute. The listings of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Those not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. And we are going to start tonight with a public hearing. So I will call pardon? Someone said something? Okay. So I call the public hearing is for the budget. And I think we probably need a roll call, Michelle, maybe to open that.
Do you want a motion, Madam Chair? Because I'll make the motion.
Do we need a motion, not just a posting? Okay. Somebody make a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we open the public budget hearing on the FY22 proposed budget.
Second. There's a second by Cheryl Simmons. Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. DeForge?
Aye.
Mrs. Granger?
Aye.
Mr. Leone?
Aye.
Mr. Quinty? Mrs. Reshoots?
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. So we would turn this over to Dr. Malone and Mr. Plunkett for the public presentation on the budget.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. So tonight we're going to begin with Mr. Plunkett. We're going to bring up the FY22 preliminary budget. We have done two presentations of the budget, one to the town of Shirley and another presentation to the town of Air. The budget, since we have originally presented it, has not changed. And so Mr. Tebow, if you could please call up the ASRSD FY22 budget to page 1. We're going to start off with Mr. Plunkett, and Mr. Plunkett's going to explain the proposed budget to the public.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Malone. Like Dr. Malone said, there's no changes to the budget since our last meeting on February 2nd. And we have presented to the Town of Air and Shirley Board of Selectmen as well. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to go through the totals page and the second page of the budget, just to kind of explain how it works. So this top grid on the first page is our appropriated budget with all our cost centers for a grand total of $26,877,000. The non-net school spending section underneath it is not included in the foundation budget, but it includes transportation and debt. So what we do is we're going to, on the second page, you're going to see later, this piece will be our operating assessment minus any state aid we get. So the $26,877,000 plus the $1.8 million for transportation we'll have the state aid subtracted from it, and that will become the assessment to Air and Shirley for our operating budget. Then as we go down into the revenue section, the second section down, it lists our state aid. We have $8.9 million in state aid that comes right off the top of that operating budget of 26 million and the transportation of 1.8 million. So the next section down shows a summary of the assessment for FY22. To Air and Shirley, they will be assessed $19,732,000 for the operating budget, and then 1.379 for the debt exclusion, the debt service for the high school. And that is a calculation that's blended by residential enrollment and foundation enrollment at the high school or the middle school, depending on what building it is. In this case, it's the high school. And also the middle school debt comes into play a little bit because AIR, in the original agreement, they started a fund based on what they owed on the middle school, and Shirley is able to reduce their payment by that each year. So that's the calculation that goes in for the assessment for that debt service. And then at the very bottom, we add in our revolving funds and our grants, which are not part of the operating appropriated operating budget. These are extra funds that do not come into play into the assessment. These are strictly funds, special revolving funds like choice and circuit breaker, and our grants, our great Title I SPED grants, and our family partnership, things like that come in here. They're added in, but they're not part of the assessment. So as we go to the second page, we'll see the assessment breakdown. So the first row number 1 is the required local contribution, and that's set by the state, and that's based on the town's wealth, town's real estate valuation, and the foundation budget for the district. And they calculate that RLC in row 1 comes right from the Department of Ed and Department of Revenue. So anything, you can see transportation is row 3. Now we add that back in here because we're going to assess for that as well. But anything over AIR and Shirley's required local contribution is row number 2. It's called net school spending above RLC. So that's the amount that AIR and Shirley pay above and beyond, or what we assess them above and beyond the RLC. So that's why there's the 3 rows making up the operating assessment, the RLC, the amount that we assess them over the RLC, which is based on the regional agreement, basically a rolling 5-year foundation enrollment average, and then transportation is added in. So we have 19,732,000 being assessed to AIR and Shirley. So it's 11,769,000 for AIR and 7,963,000 for Shirley. Compared to last year, it's a $430,000, almost a $431,000 increase over last year, 2.2%, and a 2.1% increase to AIR and a 2.4% increase to Shirley. In the second section, the second square down, we add in the excluded debt, which is the high school 30-year note on the high school project. So that's added back in.
Bill, I think you need to go to the next screen, maybe? No.
No, this is where we are.
Yeah, sorry.
Can you see
Thank
row
you.
4?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the capital debt service assessed to AIR and Shirley based on the calculation on page 17, which is that foundation / residential enrollment blend. And then there's the capital stabilization fund for Shirley that they use to reduce their share of the debt exclusion. And that is added into the operating assessment for the assessment total of 21,112,000. And comparing that to the prior year, it is a $430,000 increase. Still just a little bit of change because the debt change. The debt number does fluctuate a little bit, not much, but that's why it's down to 2.1. And to AIR, it's 1.8 because we had a shift in residential enrollment at the high school. To Shirley went up about 1.5 points, 1.5%. And so there was about a $20,000 shift on the high school debt to Shirley and off of AIR. So they go down to about a 1.8% increase, and Shirley bumps up a little bit, just 0.1% to 2.5% total when you add the debt service into the operating assessment. So I just wanted to explain those 2 pages because that's basically the whole brunt of the assessment, the budget, and how we subtract out the state aid, and then we assess based on the school spending, and then the net school spending, and then the non-net school spending rows. Anybody have any questions or concerns? Make sense? Okay, good.
I will add, while maybe anyone who's here for this part of the presentation and may have some questions, that this budget retains all positions, all of our operating procedures. As I've stated before, the school committee has supported education throughout my 7 years I've been here, and each time we've put into our budget new curricular resources and such, you have always supported it. So we have done a curricular renewal, completely K through 8 in the core content subjects, ELA, mathematics, science, and social studies. Also, at the high school, we have purchased some new foreign language books. We always budget money for replacement texts that may be damaged or need to be replaced. Every student in this district at this time has a Chromebook. All of the teachers in the last year's budget, this year's budget, excuse me, FY21, had their Chromebooks replaced. So the district is in a very positive and strong position as we move into FY22. So maybe at this time, if anybody is here from the public that would like to ask any questions, Mr. Tebow, should they put their name in the chat, and then you could promote them to speak?
Yes, Dr. Malone, if they could just go to the chat button, enter their name, and then I'll announce them.
One of the things that while we're waiting, if anybody wants to join in with a comment or a question, we did state in our PowerPoint presentation that our enrollment is down about 79 students from FY 19. And most districts in the Commonwealth saw a decline in enrollment. As we know, due to the pandemic, families had to choose to homeschool their children due to their working conditions. We saw a decline in our kindergarten and preschool numbers than we've seen in past years. And so we're hoping that for this coming school year, enrollments will increase back to their prior levels of FY19 and begin to exceed. We always want to grow our student population here in Air Shirley. The high school, the beautiful high school we have that was renovated, is built for 500 students. So since I've been here, that's always been the goal, to get our enrollment to 500 students. One of the things that, as you know, at the Department of Education and the state budget, there is an advocacy group for the budget to be based for most districts on the FY19 enrollment, because those are the real numbers in the district because of the pandemic, as I just explained. And there were a few districts that did see an increase in the FY20 enrollment, but most districts did see a decline. So that is something that superintendents are advocating for at the legislative level and with our legislators. We had a meeting last night. Kate Burnham from Lunenburg, the superintendent, she organized a meeting with myself and a couple of other superintendents and some of our legislators. Danil Sina was there, who represents Aaron Shirley. And we had a discussion about all of this. So we're going to be following up in writing some of our concerns about the budget. So with that, I'll stop and see if there's anyone in the chat that would like to speak, ask a question, or make a comment.
And even though we may have asked our questions previously, if anybody on the committee wishes to make a comment or a question, go ahead.
At this time, Dr. Malone, there is no one requesting to speak.
I think my watch is a little fast. Is it, what's the accurate time? Is it 10 to
6:49.
49? So I think we have to perhaps wait until 7, or can we start the meeting early? We don't have anybody questioning anything. There's some new people who've come on. If anyone in that who just came on, if they wish to speak, put your name in the chat, Mr. Tebow, and if you have any questions on the budget.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make another comment if I could.
Please.
In developing this budget, we did hold several of our lines level over from last year. Out of district tuitions, we funded level. Charter tuition out was level. Sped transportation and regular transportation and choice out. Those are some of our biggest drivers, and we were able to hold those all at level funding. So that's part of the reason why we were able to come in with such a low percentage and dollar increase over the prior year. We also budget from two of our larger revolving funds, circuit breaker for out of district tuitions, $650,000. And in choice, we also budget salaries, teaching salaries that supplements the budget. And this year we have $831,000 budgeted in school choice. So we're able to keep the overall increase down with those supplements. We've built our choice fund over the last few years because we have more students choicing in than out. So we're able to build that balance and then use that in building this budget.
Thank you, Mr. Plunkett, for adding those comments because they're very important. And in addition to thanking the school committee for their support of education, I also would like to thank the local officials in both towns of Erie and Shirley, the finance committees and the select boards in both towns. And I'd also like to thank the taxpayers because they have all been supportive. In past years, our assessment has been a little bit higher than the towns would have liked, but at that time we were building the district, building our curriculum resources and our operations and doing a lot of work to our facilities. And as I explained at the select board meeting when we did the presentation in Erie, that this is a level funded budget, and this is the first year that Mr. Plunkett and I have presented a level funded budget, which means we didn't need to increase our cost centers because we have the district is strong in all the areas that I aforementioned. And so we want to thank on behalf of all of us in the school district, all the administrators and the teachers, and of course, Mr. Plunkett and myself, we thank all of you for your support in building a strong school district. And we hope that when those that live in the towns and talk about the district, that they talk about the strength and they talk about the healthy state of the Shirley Regional School District.
Thank you very much. That was a very nice presentation. And do we have another year on our contract with the buses, Bill? I couldn't remember.
We do. We have one more additional year for next year. That will be the end. We had 3-year base and then 2 additional years we could pick up. And next year will be the 5th year, the final year.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to remember that earlier. I figured I'd ask the expert.
Madam Chair, if I may ask a question?
Sure, please.
So just from a timeline perspective, Dr. Malone, we're looking at voting to approve the budget at our next meeting on the 17th, correct? So that we hit that 45-day mark for the.
Yes. The school committee will be asked to certify this budget. And of course, later on in this agenda, Mrs. Rayshoots will certainly ask the committee members if you have any additional, anything you want us to change about the budget or add on to it, so that when we do bring the budget on March 17th, it is the final budget that the school department and the school committee would be recommending to the towns.
Thank you. And just a sort of follow up to that is, do we expect any other further news from the state as far as their budget proposals in between the next 2 weeks that may give us a different look, or is that sort of on a still on a different timeline?
Yeah, no, I don't have any news. Bill, do you have any update? The budget now goes to the House, and I don't think they've taken the budget up yet. Do you have any information on that, Bill?
No, the House one is still where we are. We still have House, Senate, and conference. So we're hoping by the end of June.
Yeah, as I did state earlier, there is some advocacy about, the Chapter 70 foundation enrollment that really MASs and the superintendents and assistant superintendents and all of us are really working actively with our local legislators and sending letters. As I pointed out, we had a conference, a Zoom meeting with some of our local legislators last night, and really encouraging them to consider to base the foundation on the FY19 October 1 enrollment report rather than the FY20 because of the decline in enrollment.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate the answers.
Anyone else? It is 7:55 and not hearing any questions from our participants. If someone would give me a motion to close the hearing, we'll move on to the regular session.
I'll make a motion that we close the FY22 public budget hearing at 6:56, just as a slight correction. Not 7.
I'm only going by Michelle's clock. She has to keep her camera on so I can see what time it is. Is there a second?
Second,
I second, yeah.
3 seconds, 4 seconds, okay. Michelle, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye,
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
thank you. With that, this seems a little redundant, but it's the way it needs to be done. I will not repeat the announcement that I made at the beginning. I don't think that's necessary. And we'll call to order at 6:55, call to order the regular session.
Can we call to order at 6:57 because we closed public at 6:56?
Oh, okay, thank you. Michelle needs a better clock. 6:57. I will call to order the regular session of Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021, the regular session of the Air Shirley Regional School Committee. If we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye, present here. Sorry.
Mrs. Mrs. Granger,
Here.
Mr. Leone,
Here,
Mr. Quinty, I don't think he's here. Mrs. Reshoots,
Here,
Mrs. Simmons.
Jonathan, none of us had the nerve to follow up your show there, so sorry. We would have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I haven't picked on anyone too recently. Mr. Plunkett, you're here tonight, and you are the major showman tonight, so why don't you lead us in the pledge? But you have to unmute yourself.
Is that me?
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United
United
of
States
the States of America and to the republic
Republic
For
for
which it stands, one nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
Thank you, Mr. Plunkett. I guess I got the roll call out of order, so that's already been taken care of. Excuse me. So the first thing on our agenda tonight is the high school representative. Cheyenne, I think you're here.
Hi, Cheyenne. Can you hear us okay?
Welcome, Cheyenne.
Yes. Hi.
Excellent.
Hi, Cheyenne.
Hi. So just quick updates from the school. One really fun thing that happened. So the basketball team, the women's varsity team, we went undefeated, which we are only 4 teams in the state to go undefeated. I have a few stats. So we were only one of 4 teams to go undefeated in Massachusetts. We were the team that won the most. So we won 11 out of 0. Other teams won like 10-0. We were the 4th highest scoring team in the state, and we were #1 ranked defensive team in the state for points allowed by other teams, which is really cool. So
And you
yeah.
want to tell us who's on the team so we can give them all publicity?
Oh boy.
have that?
I can tell you so we have the seniors. We had Stephanie Hart, Katie Hart, who was injured, but she still showed up to every practice and every game. We had Cordelia Street, Mindy Brees, Jennifer Clifton, and I, Cheyenne Square. And then we had Tori Salmon, Leslie Walker, Madison Davis. We had Tess, I don't know her last name. Oh,
Sarah Halion.
and yeah. And Ava Murphy was all the girls on the team.
Awesome.
Super.
And Olivia Ostreicher was our team manager.
All right. Very nice.
Great job.
Thanks. So also with sports, volleyball started yesterday, which is really fun. The girls are great. We're all really supportive, and that's been a fun vibe so far. To continue with, we were talking about Dr. Myers and with Mr. Christie, sorry. We're creating those boxes for all the remote students today, which will be distributed tomorrow so they can pick it up safely from everyone and get all their books and textbooks and stuff that they need for the semester, which is really great of them to do. And speaking of books, so I am in multicultural literature right now, and we're reading this book called American Street, and the author, E.B. Zobi, I think is how you say her last name, we're actually going to be having a talk with her. She's going to come in my class. The class will be able to have half of the time with her, talk about her directly about the book, and then the rest of the school will be able to talk to her, which is really cool to talk to the author of the book that we're reading. So,
That's great.
Cheyenne, do you know when she's coming, Cheyenne?
March 24th, I believe.
So there's still time for kids that might want to read the book to
Yes.
squeeze it in before she comes. Yeah. So is that being announced, do you know, at the school, or at least put out by email to the students so that if they do want to read?
It should be coming out soon. The date was finalized like a few days ago, a few weeks, like really recently. So
Yeah, it would just might be more interesting for the kids.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome
reading it
then.
right now, and it's a really good book.
Good.
There you go,
Yeah.
Mr. Christie.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and Cheyenne, I know Mr. Donovan teaches that course.
Yes,
Yeah.
really good course.
Yeah, excellent.
My junior took it and absolutely loved it. It's a great course.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be honest, I did not think I was gonna like it because I already have an English class and it's a class about reading, but it's actually not that much. It's like there's a few reading, but it's really interesting. It like opens your eyes up to a lot of perspectives. It's a really good class.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Super.
Yeah,
You-
Wonderful. Love to hear that enthusiasm for a
An English class.
Yeah.
I'm a math person too, so for the enthusiasm, that means something.
How's the college search going for you?
Oh, it's going pretty good. So actually today I found out I got into another college, so I'm now 7 for 13 getting into. No denials yet. Woo.
Wow.
Awesome.
And 4 out of the 7 I got college scholarships for, so that's cool.
Oh, great.
Wonderful.
Good for you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hard work
but-
pays off.
When,
Yeah.
when do you have to send your acceptance in?
May 1st.
Woo!
I'm not looking forward to that date. I'm like, oh, I'll apply with a lot of schools to help my indecisiveness, but then I just made my indecisiveness worse for when I had to pick the college I got into. So we're struggling already. we still have 2 months, but we're getting there.
Any of these schools giving you an opportunity to play basketball?
Oh, no, I'm not playing sports in college.
Okay.
No. I have to focus on work and then like school and then get a job. That's like my priority for
Okay.
college. If I play, it's gonna be like a rec and like not for a team. I know the Hearts have both been accepted to colleges for basketball, and Stephanie Hart committed to one, which is cool.
Oh, that's
Excellent.
great.
Which school?
Fitchburg State, sorry.
Good for her.
Yeah.
So are you planning to go to California or Montana or any place like that?
Pennsylvania is probably where I have my eye set on right now.
That's far enough.
Yeah, it's far enough.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
they have good occupational and physical therapy programs to take, so that's where I'm like leaning towards.
Great major. Good for you.
Thank you.
Keep us posted. This is This is how we live through other.
I will. Next time we talk, hopefully every college should be back by then. Like they should be all done by the end of this month. So
Are any of the colleges, are the colleges still open for tours and stuff? Are you planning on that for April vacation?
most of them are, you can just drive by. I'm planning on going to Maine to tour Maine for a quick day drive by. And then my mom and I are going to go to Pennsylvania for a drive through of the 4 colleges that I've applied and got accepted into.
Well, I can tell you, when you go up to Orono, that's where I went to school. It won't look real good in the winter. If it looks good to you in the winter, go there because it's gorgeous in the fall and gorgeous in the spring. But
I don't think any place
winters are tough.
I don't think any place looks good in the winter. If I see snow, I know I'm gonna be cold.
There you go. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Anybody else?
I just have a quick one. So, and I know Mr. Christie's here too, and I don't want to put any pressure on anyone, but has there been any talk of like senior activities somewhat safely, somewhat creatively, like prom or any sort of fun activities for you guys? I know last year we kind of had to close it down pretty hard, but maybe this year might be better.
I don't know if Christy wants to talk about it, but I know that we are getting a little bit closer to saying yes to prom, which I cannot tell you how excited I am for that. Oh, I'm so excited. But Christy to talk about it.
Yeah, I can. I don't know. Mr. Christie may not be on just yet, so I can.
Yeah, he's right there.
Right there.
All right, go ahead,
I'm
Mr.
happy
Christie.
to give a brief update if that's okay.
Well, sure, go ahead.
So we have recently rented a tent for the same day as the prom. The students have a prom that's scheduled to take place at Mount Wachusett. We weren't overly confident that was going to be able to happen. So we went ahead, rented the biggest tent we could find with a dance floor, tables, chairs, and space for a DJ booth. Since we have done that, Mount Wachusett's actually come back and may be able to still host the prom. We are also looking at a number of other activities, ranging from students being able to safely attend a Red Sox game to some other secret surprise that I'm going to keep in my back pocket until a later time.
Come on, tell us. Tell us. Tell us.
Keep it.
Well,
Pretend that we're not here. Just tell us.
Cheyenne, I'll add that you might be back in school, working on that, and we certainly are planning for a graduation. So,
Yes.
Yeah. Mr.
Yes.
Yay.
So there's some
Walk
good
the
things
stage.
coming. Things are getting better and everyone's excited and we want to do as much as we can for you seniors. You deserve it. And you know, while we were talking about colleges, I know I typically read them in my superintendent's report, and while I have Cheyenne here, if the committee will indulge me, I can read some of them now.
Sure.
Here. So this is our list so far. We have Assumption College, Berkeley College of Music, Boston University, Bridgewater State, Case Western Reserve, Kobe Sawyer, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Endicott College, Fitchburg State, Framingham State, Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Northeastern University, Penn State University, Plymouth State University, Regis College, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Rivier University, Roger Williams University, Salem State University, Suffolk University, Thomas Jefferson University, University of Connecticut, University of Maine, University of Mass Amherst, University of Arizona, University of Mass Lowell, University of New Hampshire, University of New Haven, University of Rhode Island, University of Vermont, Wentworth Institute of Technology, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, and Worcester State University. So that's great.
Wow.
Quite
Those
a
are great.
list.
Yes. That's a
Yeah.
long list.
Yeah.
Mr. Christie,
Nice
Christie,
job,
what is
class of
the
21.
size? How many graduates do we have this year?
This year, we're scheduled to have 86 graduates.
Good. I think we just had
86.
105 colleges, but that's all right.
I know. I was thinking, so Cheyenne, make sure you encourage your classmates to send in their college acceptances to the school counseling, so then we announce this at school committee every meeting. We add.
I got one
You-
more. University of Sciences in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
There
really?
you go.
Hey.
I got that one like literally half an hour ago.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I will.
Thank
I
you.
don't know if anybody's listening from the counseling tonight, so you may have to report it some other way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so
That's
much.
pretty
for being
impressive,
here.
you guys. That's pretty impressive. Class of 2021 has had a lot of success. That's awesome. And I'm glad to hear you guys are going to get some semblance of senior activities as well.
Yeah. And I would say to the school committee, every year we have an impressive list of colleges and
Yeah.
universities that our students attend. Yeah, so
Definitely.
congratulations to all.
Very, very good. If we could move on to public participation.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you for livening us up too, Cheyenne. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mr. Tebow, if we can go to public participation, but public participation will allow up to a half an hour, with everyone being allowed to speak for 3 minutes. And please announce your name and full address when you come on, when you come on. So put your name in the chat and Mr. Tebow will put you in. Do we have some participants, Mr. Tebow?
Yes, we just have somebody who popped up. Stephen Larkin would like to speak. Stephen, if you can just hold on for a second, I'll give you access to the panel. Hi, Stephen, can you hear me okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and
Yes.
clear.
Okay. Yes, I just had a question. The last school committee meeting, Dr. Malone mentioned that there was 2 barriers left to get to back to full 5 days: the busing and the social distancing of 6 feet within the school. Since the last school committee meeting, DESE has come out saying that at the elementary and middle school busing, that they can go back to normal without restrictions. And a week ago, Commissioner Jeff Riley from DESE announced a 3 to 6 foot social distancing requirement in the schools. So do we have to move to a 3 foot distancing to allow all the students to come back 5 days? And can the busing go back to normal?
Dr. Malone?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Larkin, for asking that question. Later on in tonight's meeting, I will be providing the school committee an overview of the reopening of schools. Your first question on the transportation, yes, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education released the guidance on transportation, which is really, it reverts back to ridership at full capacity, unless with masks on and then the windows opened, unless our town or city is in the red, at which time it would be 2 per seat at middle school and high school. So that's been resolved. The 3 feet to 6 feet distancing, the Department of Education has always provided the guidance from them has been 3 feet to 6 feet. For many districts, including our own, most were not comfortable with anything less than 6 feet due to the contact tracing and being a close contact. If you were within 6 feet of someone for 15 cumulative minutes over a 24-hour period. We're working with the Department of Education at this time. We're trying to get consistent and clear guidance that is not contradicted. So we have CDC guidance, we have guidance from DESE, we have guidance from WHO. So we have several organizations that are providing guidance. So the superintendents are working collaboratively to become clearer on that guidance. The commissioner did state last week that he was going to, he made a recommendation to the board that he is recommending, or he actually wants to force, if you will, I don't know, force isn't the right word, but he would like to see all elementary students back in full person by April 5th. We've learned that on this Friday, March 5th, I believe the Board of Education will be convening at such time. They will be voting to authorize the commissioner to change the learning time requirements, and therefore we would all have to comply with elementary students returning in full person starting on April 5th. The middle school and high school, he hasn't released any of that yet, but certainly all of us are looking at returning all students. The one thing that I will say for parents, a couple of things, and I'll report it later in my reopening overview. We will be sending a survey out to all families with some of these questions and what people are comfortable with. And certainly the commissioner has indicated that we will still offer the remote option to families through the end of the school year. So in the survey, that question will be asked. So if you're in hybrid now and we were to return in the classrooms with physical distancing between 3 and 6 feet, would you be comfortable? Would you return in person, or would you want to go to remote? And those that are in full remote, would they consider coming back? So that's the first step. And so we're making progress, and certainly it is our goal to get students back in person before the close of the school year. So hopefully if you have time and you want to stay for a little later in the presentation, I'll have some more detail of what I just explained.
I will, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Stephen, before you leave, we're asking people to state their full name, please, and their address.
Stephen Larkin, 12 Moore Circle, Shirley.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Someone else would like to speak?
At this time, Madam Chair, there's no one in the chat requesting to speak.
Thank you. If any, want to give them 30 more seconds, and you put your name in the chat, and Mike will put you in. Thanks for the participation. I know that was a question that was very timely. It was very vital to put that out. Thank you. I don't see anyone. Do we have anyone, Mr. Tebow?
No, no one's asking to speak.
All right, thank you so much. We're moving on to the consent agenda, item 7. We have quite a consent agenda tonight. We have February 2nd regular session minutes for release. We have February 23rd regular session minutes for release. We have executive sessions from April 15th, 2020, and we have executive session minutes from June 10th, 2020, and we have the warrant memo. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes that I have listed?
I have a minor correction to the minutes from the regular session minutes from Tuesday, February 2nd. They're on page, hold on one second, I'm just scrolling to page 6, where it says winter walk, and it has tentative walk dates. It's a question mark instead of a slash. I'm telling you, it's just a minor clerical mistake.
Okay. That sounds like something very easy to do since they're next to each other, I think, on the keyboard. Anything else with that minor change? Anyone from any of the other minutes? We'll go on to the warrant. I think since we have so many of those, it might be good to take a motion to approve those minutes. And if you'd like me to read them again, it was February 2nd. Regular ones, February 23rd, 2021 on both of those. And then we had the executive, just lost it, guys, sorry. Then we had the executive session minutes from April 15th, 2020 and June 10th, 2020.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes with the minor correction as outlined by Ms. Granger as listed in the warrant, in the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. DeForge. Is there a second?
A second, I just have a quick question. Are we also including the the warrant memo?
You want me to go ahead and read it? I can do that either way.
I just wanted to make sure because we referenced the minutes, but we didn't reference the warrant
I was
memo.
going to do the warrant separate since it's extensive and the minutes were extensive.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
All right.
Yep.
just because it gets a little less confusing since there's so much of both of them right now. So there's a motion to accept the minutes with the change that Mrs. Granger has suggested.
I seconded those.
And there, oh, sorry, Cheryl, I didn't hear you. You have a roll call, please, Michelle?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone.
Aye.
Is Mr. Quinty here yet? No. Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Cheryl?
Aye. Sorry, was I not?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. That is a unanimous vote. On the warrant, we have payable and payroll warrants. We had payroll warrant, AP warrant 1106 dated 2/5/2021 for $803.98. Those were the December merchant services. AP warrant 1107 dated 2/5/2021 for $300,689.58, which is the FY21 biweekly AP warrant. We have warrant number 113 dated 2/12/2021 for $779.75. That's the January merchant services. We have AP warrant number 114 dated 2/19/2021 for $397,239.29. Payroll warrants number 17 dated 2/12/21 for $713,730.36. We have payroll warrant number 17.1 dated 2/12/2021 for $500, which is the CIP stipend payment. We have payroll warrant 18 dated 2/26/2021 for $430.92 for FY21 biweekly payroll, and payroll warrant 18.1 dated 2/26/21 for $18,972.00 for the winter coaches. I'm taking motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve. Oh, sorry.
Can I just
I'll
ask-
make a motion to approve the
Jonathan can
warrant
second.
memo.
Can I
As
just
reviewed.
ask a question first?
Sure, please do.
Maybe I should have asked this one years ago, but why are the biweekly payrolls different from 12 to 26? There's a 70,000 difference in the
Oh, sorry, Joe. It could be there's certain groups that work
Mr.
hourly.
Plunkett?
Oh, sorry.
Right,
The
Jonathan's correct. Hourly people.
So like your
Okay.
cafeteria workers and your,
Because you have a vacation in there.
yes, correct.
You have you have a 5-day vacation period in there.
okay.
Although
right,
some of them are starting to get vacation pay, but yes, there is exactly. So paraprofessionals, clerical, clerical doesn't, I don't think they apply, but cafeteria workers and paraprofessionals definitely don't get paid when they don't work. So
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
And your math was good tonight, Joe. Thank you very much. I think
So-
there's a
I'll second the motion.
I think there's a motion. It's now seconded by Mr. DeForge. If we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye. Sorry.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Moving on to new business. This is an exciting one. We have Mr. Christie here, who is the principal of Air Shirley Regional High School. And we have the Air Shirley Regional High School Program of Studies for 2021 and 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Rayshoots.
You
Thank
have
you,
the
ladies
floor.
and gentlemen of the school committee. Before we start, Ms. Granger, you'd actually asked me a wonderful question about putting out some information about our author presentation. The woman who will be coming in to speak about diversity in literature. We had posted for the first time a public memo last Friday outlining the the highlights of her speech, but we will be posting more within the coming weeks as well. That's going to be March 24th during C period, which for us is 9 a.m. So
Great.
thank you so much tonight for having Dr. Meyer and me here to discuss this high school program of studies that we're proposing for the 2021-2022 school year. Tonight, I'd like to start with an overview of our program of studies. What you'll see in front of you provides our students with a guide to success in high school. One of our main areas of focus over the past 5 years has been a stronger connection to Mass Core, which is strongly recommended by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for all high school students to be completed, and this can be seen as an outline on page 9. With the exception of a pandemic-shortened 2019, the percentage of ASRHS students who have adhered to the Mass Core standards have increased from 50% of students achieving the Mass Core requirements in 2014-15 to 83.2% of the students achieving Mass Core requirements for the 2018-19 school year. We will continue to push in coming years for this number to increase more and more. Additionally, pathways to graduation, which can be seen on pages 9 through 11, have been established at the high school and allow for students to express a pre-professional interest in one of several tracks. There are 5 pathways to graduation that we currently have planned for students. Those include the Mass Core pathway, an honors AP early college pathway, a STEM pathway, a humanities pathway, and an early childhood pathway. I would like to highlight tonight the early childhood pathway, which can be seen on page 11. Again, due to the global pandemic, we were unable to offer the ECE 101 course through Mount Wachusett Community College or any of the practicum courses, which are a key component of the pathway. However, I'm thrilled to announce that we have been working collaboratively with Mount Wachusett Community College and will be able to offer these courses, we believe, in person next year.
Mr. Christie,
Yes.
if you don't mind, if I just could interject, just for the
Absolutely.
public and the school committee, if you recall, 2 years ago, we moved the preschool classrooms from Laura White over to Page Hilltop. And first, we wanted to establish an early childhood center, and we wanted to enroll a higher number of students in our early childhood program, but also, as Mr. Christie just described, the early childhood track at the high school. The students at the high school, they would do their practicum in senior year over at the Page Hilltop in the early childhood center. So just wanted to point that out. So thank you, Mr. Christie, for highlighting that.
And thank you, Dr. Malone. It is a wonderful addition to our program of studies, and we're thrilled to be able to move forward with it during the 2021-2022 school year. I would like to start with perhaps the largest addition to our program of studies this year, the reintroduction of our Learning Center courses. Noticeably absent over the past few years, Mr. Lindstruth and Mrs. Cook, our 2 Learning Center teachers, have worked hard to ensure that the courses taught in this program are included as a part of our program of studies. These courses can be found on pages 37 through 40. The courses are modeled after inclusion classes in each of their department areas and are meant to allow for modifications that will enable all students at ASRHS to find success. And as you can see here, the outlined courses will offer 4 years of English, 4 years of history, 4 years of mathematics, 4 years of science, as well as various other courses. We have also added a new history course. This course is called Rainbows and Riots, an examination of the LGBTQ+ experience through a historical perspective, and can be found on page 33. This course will be offered to students in grades 11 and 12 and will cover the social constructs of identity, and will uncover how these have changed over time. We are also thrilled to add Wellness 12 to our physical education and wellness offerings. This edition can be seen on page 18. Well, this year has provided challenges to our students and staff on many levels. We have had a chance to experiment with the curricular design of our PE and wellness curriculum. One of the great benefits of this year has been the opportunity to work with students directly on what a Wellness 12 curriculum looks like. In this case, speaking with students on a series of topics ranging from leadership to perseverance and grit has become a course that has both students and staff eager to embrace the daily learning. This year, the 2020-2021 school year, we did not offer an integrated Math 1-2 honors course, but are reintroducing it back to our curriculum for the 2021-2022 school year. The description of this course can be found on page 20. And finally, apart from new course title additions, we are including a breakdown of how GPA is calculated to allow for students and their families to fully understand how a GPA for each student exists. This breakdown can be seen on page 5. At this time, Dr. Meyer and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I'd like to say thank you so much, Mr. Christie and Dr. Meyer. Did you want to say anything about this GPA, how it works, people, maybe?
Sure, happy to give a brief introduction on this. What you'll see is on the left-hand side, a series of letter grades. The letter grades are translated to numeric grades. So in this example, an A+ is a 97 through 100. At a CP level course, a student would gain a 4.0 on the GPA scale. However, with an honors course, students are enabled a 0.5 lift in their GPA, and this brings it up to a 4.5. For AP, the students would get a full 1 point lift from the college prep course, and that enables them to a 5.0. This is a 5.0 out of a 4.0 scale. What we've seen with many of our top students over the years has been students exceeding the 4.0 scale. And when we look at our valedictorian and salutatorian over the past few years, their grades have ranged, their GPA has ranged from anywhere between a 4.2 to realistically about a 4.5.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Christie, how does this compare to other schools and how they handle this GPA thing?
The GPA is actually fairly standard in what I've seen at other schools that I've been a part of. At my 2 previous stops, this was identical.
Okay.
And this has been how we have been calculating GPA in Redeker now for the past few years. But we felt in transparency sake that we should include it in the program of studies as well, so that folks can learn how to calculate GPA without needing to go through Redeker.
Mr. Christie,
Yes, Ms. Rankin.
does this scale accompany our transcripts to colleges so that the colleges understand how the GPA is being calculated?
It does. So we have a school profile that we send to each college. And actually, I can see Ms. Essalonis is on here tonight. Ms. Essalonis really has done a wonderful job over a number of years in helping us to prepare that college profile that goes out. And yes, this has been included.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Christie?
Yes, Mr. Quinty.
Welcome, Jim.
Yeah. Well, I'm back for a while. We'll see how long that is. I've been busy today, as you can imagine. Has there been any discussion about, and this might be something more for the school committee and the district wide scale, about adding any mindfulness directive over the entire curriculum. I mean, I think it would have to be something that wouldn't just happen at your school. I think we'd have to take a look at some sort of introduction across the district. But from your discussions with the teachers as you're going through this, do you think there's any interest in that?
So it's a great question. And actually, we have Miss Malillo in our audience tonight, who's offering a Panther Block course on mindfulness. So well, it's not a part of our program of study. It is right now a part of our daily offerings as students go through their Panther Block throughout the day. It is truly a wonderful course, and she does a fabulous job teaching it.
Does that help, Mr. Quinty?
To Mr. Quinty, so Mr. Quinty, you're looking more of a systemic kind of programmatic sequence around that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember speaking with Carl, and he was in touch with some other districts that were in Vermont, and they had a district-wide level. The committee and the administrations got together to try to bring that aspect to the entire district, starting all the way in the kindergarten and elementary grades. And initial feedback he got from talking to some people that he knew in Vermont, that the teachers really appreciated it because it gave them a tool to try to center the classes. I mean, you can deal with all sorts of classes, when you're a teacher, and there were different tools that everybody had learned from early on, and it allowed, we're in an environment now where, I mean, I watch my kids anyway, in the middle of a conversation with me, their phone will bleep 4 or 5 times because somebody sent them a text as another request from here, that amount of distraction. And I'm wondering if maybe overall at a district level, we might take a look at that. And I don't know what the feelings would be from existing faculty and everybody else, probably a lot more than we want to do in improving the curriculum here, but I think it's something we could take a look forward, because I think my gut feel is that this electronic thing isn't going to blow over. So we have to figure that, we want to give them the tools to be able to survive with some sort of control and purpose as they move forward. So they are better at centering themselves and concentrating on what's going to give them the greatest bump. But I guess that might be a discussion for maybe this summer, when we have a little bit more time.
Sure. I appreciate your comments, and we can look at it systemically, but Mr. Cleary could offer, so we do have it, sprinkled, if you will, throughout the curriculum. I'll ask Mr. Cleary to be more specific. And I also know he can talk about, we have a professional development workshop, actually run by Mary Lance in the past. So Mr. Cleary, would you like to give some of those more specifics? It's not a systemic, holistic approach as you're describing, Mr. Quinty, but certainly Mr. Cleary.
Yeah, Mr. Quinty, I appreciate the question. And Dr. Malone, thank you. In terms of our implementation of some of our SEL resources that we've done across the district for the past several years, so as part of the integration of Second Step into our K-5, a number of our teachers are discussing the concept of mindfulness within the K-5 arena. It's also a piece of our counseling curriculum that cuts through the entire district, K through 12. In addition, I know a number of elementary teachers are using a tool called Go Noodle, which provides kids with some opportunities for mindfulness options for students. We have done professional development. I know that I've led professional development with mindfulness with some of our new teachers in a new teacher academy a few years ago. And we've done some summer workshop with our staff in mindfulness. And it's also part of our professional development offerings on Wednesdays for staff. Dr. Malone had mentioned one of our teachers, Mary Lance, is an instructor. She's a yoga instructor in addition to being a classroom teacher. And she has put together some mindfulness workshops for educators. It's also a piece of our curriculum. And I know I see Mr. Kendall's on here too, a piece of our curriculum for a wellness perspective. And I know that as part of the program of studies, wellness courses are offered at the high school. And I know that a number of our students are participating in yoga, which provides them with an opportunity to indicate to go through some sort of mindfulness. So there are pieces of it that are everywhere within our school district. And I think that your point, Mr. Quinty, is spot on, that it would be great to have something a little bit more coherent that builds kind of a skill set for students. And I think that that's something that we can discuss as we move forward, for sure.
Great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Anyone else? Or Mr. Kindle or anybody wants to add into the mindfulness discussion, that would be welcome. Is there any questions in general on the curriculum, or since we will be approving this tonight?
I'll make a motion to accept the program of studies as presented by Mr. Christie.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? We tend to have our discussion before the things. That's all right. We can do it again. Everybody wants to jump in and ask questions, so it works out fine. Hearing none, seeing no one raising their hand or anything. It's been motioned and seconded to approve the approval of the Air Regional School High School Program of Studies for 21-22 as presented by Mr. Christie tonight. And I thank everybody else for being here. Michelle, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
That is unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone. And Mr. Christie, you have a program of studies for 21-22.
Thank you so much.
Carry on.
Truly appreciate your time and patience with listening to us tonight.
Nice job.
Pleasure. And thank you, Dr. Meyer, for being
Thank you
here.
very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to financial management policies and procedures by Mr. Plunkett. One of my favorite items on the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we have item 8B. It's actually the Financial Management Procedures Manual and the appendix for the student activities. There are 4 appendices. The student activity was so large, I just left it separate. So it's a separate document in your packet. But this is a recommendation of our auditors. As you, in the memo I outlined, they recommend that we have these written procedures and policy, that the school committee adopt them to guide how we handle all of our financial practices. Part 1 in the table of contents of the Financial Management Procedures Manual deals with compliance, guidelines for procurement and travel, and consultants and contractors. Part 2 of the manual gets into the nitty-gritty of the operating procedures. And this is where the auditors really stress this is something we need to have that outlines our accounting procedures, cash management, very important, the handling of cash, grant procedures, payroll, accounts payable, and anti-fraud, just name most of them. So these are all outlined. This is a template that I got from MASBO and Mars and customized for us. So this would be a guiding document for our financial procedures. We did have some patchwork together, but this is a more significant manual that will satisfy the auditor's finding of not having written policies and procedures in place. And this does include grant management and student activities. So I have Joyce and I went through it today. I have 4 small edits that we found today. I can read them off quickly if you'd like, or we can review if you want to come back after I make the edits and review it again. I would defer to the committee's request on that.
So I have 4 or 5 small ones too. So I'm wondering if we picked up on the same things.
Okay.
So however I'm happy to read you mine and then we can compare or whatever you want to do.
Well, I just don't, does anybody else have any edits? Maybe I should collect them. If there's more, I'll collect them and then redo it. I don't want to get inundated here with edits, and waste everybody's time. But I'll start with what Joyce and I found. In the financial procedures manual, page 8 and 9, we have the section 6.1 and 6.2 on independent contractors. We just want to add one bullet to each of those of consultants and contractors adding, filling out, completing a W-9. That is part of our procedure now, but we just want to make sure it gets into these two sections for the W-9 to be filled out. That's where they provide, the contractor or consultant would provide a taxpayer identification number or social security to be added onto our system. The next one is
What page was that on to help people find it?
8 and 9 for the consultant contractors. And the next one is on page 14 of the manual. Under B, entitlement and competitive grants, subsection 9, Roman numeral 9. The superintendent of schools or his or her designee will present to the school committee a list of grant awards on an annual basis. We would like to do that for our grants that are on the same schedule. They all come out. Most of the federal grants are awarded in September. So we would have a bunch to report at that point. And there's also some that we would add something to that sentence saying that we would update the committee as warranted, as other grants become available or we're able to write for other grants, we would present them to you as warranted during the remainder of the year. So that was the second edit. And the third edit was page 43, actually appendix C, page 43, the gift procedures. And section 2 has any gift exceeding $500 would need the school committee's approval. Oh, I'm sorry, the superintendent's approval. We wanted to lower that to $300. Oh, okay, so it is it would go to the school committee as written. It would go to the school committee if it exceeded $500. We'd like to lower that to $300 so we can acknowledge more gifts. These are donations to the district. So we want to be able to acknowledge more. We don't want to exclude anybody. So we would propose to lower that to 300. Jonathan, you have any of these?
You're not hitting my bingo card yet.
No, haven't hit any of them?
Oh.
Okay. And the last one that we had on in the student activity appendix on page 13 of the student activity manual. The last sentence in the second paragraph of account reconciliations, auditing and reporting. They have the second sentence says, additionally, the director is responsible for periodic reporting to the school committee, including reports of quarterly balances in the student activity checking and agency accounts as part of the district's regular quarterly financial reporting. We'd like to strike from including quarterly balances through financial reporting and just have it say, additionally, the director is responsible for periodic reporting to the school committee on year-end student activity balances. So we would just like to modify that second sentence because we felt that maybe quarterly reporting on the student activities would not be appropriate. And that just year end, we do an annual audit, and then we would report on the student activity accounts at year end. So those are the edits that we had from today.
So I'll send you mine because it'll, we don't need to, they're not huge edits. But basically, page, so there's one, there's a listing of 5 school committee members. Needs to be updated to 6. And then there's some sections that make it sound like we're a single town, where we talk about like a town finance manager and stuff. I think we just need to adjust it to either town finance managers or just strike that so that it's more reflective of us being a multi-town district. And then there was just one other thing on time cards, where it said they had to be written in ink. Are we still doing time cards like that, or if we move to an electronic fashion?
We still have time sheets.
Okay. But then, so they're filled out manually with paper and pencil or pen, I guess.
Yeah, paper and pen, they're signed by the employee and the supervisor.
Okay.
So school committee, the number of school committee members, town manager, and the time cards.
Yeah, I'll send them to you because I
Okay.
have them written down with the pages and stuff on them.
Okay, so that's 3 more. So I would leave it up to the will of the committee if you want to approve with those edits, those 7 minor edits.
Does anybody else have anything else that they would like to comment on the financial management procedures manual with the appendices?
Bill, I know this is, I mean, kind of like an overriding document. When we've gotten some audit problems in the past, it was non-specific control of cash from, some student fundraising events and those types of procedures. Is that a separate document that would come from this, or is that the kind of thing that we want to have permanently established in the document?
That is in the document. It's the appendix number 4. It's written out separately because it's so extensive.
The student activity policy is included in this appendix A, and it does have all those types of guidelines listed.
Right. You're happy with the ones that are in there relative to reviewing some of our prior audits?
Yes, this increases the guidance for student activities that we have. The school committee has accepted chapter 74, section 47, I believe, and that is included in this appendix. It's actually filed JJF. Chapter 71, section 47. That was like about a 4-pager we approved about 2 years ago, just for that section of the law. Then that had some basic coverages, but this manual expounds on that and strengthens it.
Okay.
And that policy is included in the whole document.
Yeah, I cut and paste it right into the document.
Good.
Anyone else? Does the committee wish to review it in whole and vote on it at the next meeting? Or would you like to move to vote it now? This was a very good piece of work and very complete with the relationships to general laws. And I think Bill did a really good thing. So it's quite a piece of work. I'll leave it to the will of the committee as to what they wish to do.
I would make a motion that we accept the guidelines as presented tonight by Mr. Plunkett.
A second.
The motion seconded. Is there any more discussion or questions on this? This is, I think, one of the most important things that we're doing. If anyone's not comfortable with and waiting to see the corrected and waiting to see the clean copy, or we could just continue. It's up to you.
Well, I think if John just sends the locations of the edits, a lot of really just wordsmithing sends it over to Bill. I think the technical content is fine. And the changes that he was talking about are certainly warranted and automatic, so I have no problem approving this set of financial restraints as long as John gets that sent over to Bill. Bill incorporates it. Everyone here heard what he wanted, the change they wanted to make, and I don't think there was any substantive, and I don't think there's any reason to re-review the entire document again.
Okay,
Yeah, I would agree. I would just ask that maybe if we can just next meeting in our packets, just have a revised copy with changes highlighted in bright yellow so that we can easily find them. I'm perfectly okay with that, and I'll type up something either today or tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Right.
anyone else?
I don't have any objection. I think moving forward is fine. I just wanted to thank Bill for this. I mean, it must have been a lot of work, and I think it's important that we have everything documented. It's nice to see another procedure manual, just so we know moving forward how all of us are operating on the same page. So I think that's great.
So before we vote, I would just like you to expound on, I know everybody likes to lose acronyms, but if you would expound on MASBO and MARS to say what those two organizations are.
Oh, sure. MASBO is the Massachusetts Association of School Business Officials, and MARS is the Massachusetts Association of Regional Schools. Two great resources for this kind of thing.
I don't think everybody in the public, I get lost in them, so I figured it's good to spell them out. Thank you. Michelle, and I think the will of the committee is to vote on this tonight. If you would call the roll call, please.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you. That is unanimous vote to accept the procedures. I don't have it in front of me. I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't want to say it wrong. To accept the financial management procedures, policies and procedures as presented by Mr. Plunkett, Director of Finance. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I don't think we've had anything like that before. I think this was really good to do. Okay, we have Dr. Malone. Item new business C, the draft of the 2021-22 school year calendar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Tebow has brought up the proposed calendar. Thank you, Mr. Tebow. So the calendar follows a format that we've had for the last several years. In the top left corner, you can see the color code table, so it makes it easier for families and the public to view our calendar. To the right are our school times, start time, dismissal time, half days, and early release. The calendar is very similar to what we've been doing in the past years with our summer school beginning the week after the holiday week, the 4th of July week. We'll run the Title I Power Up Summer School along with the special ed summer school concurrent for 4 weeks starting on the 12th and ending the 4th week, the first week in August 5th. School will reopen as we have been 2 days of professional development, Monday, August 30th and Tuesday, August 31st. Typically, what we've done is have a convocation and some professional development on Monday, the 30th, and then the staff report to the buildings for building meetings in preparation for opening on Tuesday, August 31st. And then we have our professional development days, the time, our half days and our full day have not changed from the last I don't know, several years. And so you can look at that. We note first day of school, kindergarten, and preschool. A couple of things. I have sent this to Mr. Tully, the president of ASRA. It is in a contract that we send the calendar to the membership for their review. And so he has this and he'll be getting back to me. I actually have a meeting with him tomorrow. He's meeting with the Z board tomorrow, so he won't get back to me. He asked that next year, sometimes when we have parent conferences on a Thursday, we have a curriculum meeting. And so Mr. Caleri will be sure to make sure he schedules faculty meetings and the curriculum meetings, particularly the curriculum meeting opposite a curriculum meeting. It's a long day when you have a meeting and then you have parent conferences. So we certainly have taken note of that. The one thing I want to bring to your attention, if you go to December 23rd, contractually, we've made this, it's an early release day for all staff. I am proposing that again this year as we did this past year, because the Christmas Eve is on a Friday and the 23rd is the day before, that we grant all of the staff and families a half day. I think it worked out very well this year, and staff were very grateful to have a little bit of that extra time. So I would like the committee to note that, because it doesn't necessarily follow the contract. The other piece is I've asked the middle school administration to survey their families. So this year they went to the trimester reporting schedule, and they held their parent conferences in the middle of the trimester. So let's take, if you go to, and this is hard for me to even read, in October, you'll see on October 25th, progress reports will be issued. Is that the 25th? Yes. And then conferences at the middle school will be that Thursday and Friday. So we aligned the issuance of the progress report with the midway time of parent conferences at the middle school. The administration will be surveying families to see if this type of model worked, if the families prefer to have the conferences in the middle of the trimester or at the end when the report cards are issued. So I'll have that information when I bring this back to you for a final vote on March 17th. The other thing is the open houses. You can see it's TBD. The principals and building administrations will look at getting those scheduled, and hopefully we'll have those dates on here when I bring it back to you for a vote on the 17th. The school committee or our district attends school for 181 days. That's on here. I would like you to note on June 20th, a state holiday now, Juneteenth. So if the last day of school, the 181st day is scheduled for June 15th, I would venture to say you'll have a few snow days next year. So if they were to move into the week of the 20th, Monday would be a holiday. And so then you'd have to make up those snow days subsequent to that. And other than that, if you've had a chance to look at it and you have any questions or any changes you'd like, I'm certainly open to any feedback from the committee. As
Madam
always.
Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Please.
November 3rd, is that that's a Wednesday? Don't we normally do professional development on that Tuesday because it's election day?
That is true. Yep. We'll make that change. Thank you.
Yep.
Dr. Malone,
Yes.
has there been any discussion on how the conferences will be provided? Will there be a option for parents to Zoom into a conference?
It's interesting that you would bring that up. So one of the things, when we started meeting with the administration last week on starting to think about reopening, I always like to think, plan, and execute. And so we are starting to capture, if you will, what have we learned? What has worked better for families? And on our list is a virtual IEP meetings, virtual parent conferences, and parent presentations. Through the years, with the exception of this year, I always tried to, I used to want to host like a monthly parent presentation. We always typically didn't have a high attendance, and we understand why. So certainly, you can see in school committee meetings that we have a higher presentation of families. So yes, to answer your question, yes, it is on our list to continue those practices. So it works for families. And I know that, this year with the virtual conferences, feedback from both families and staff was very positive and very favorable to continue.
Great, thank you.
Dr. Malone, we don't have open houses on in September, or did I just can't see that well?
No, it's very small, Madam Chair, right under the actual calendar for September 2021. You'll see that Mrs. Town helps us format and she's.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah, I don't have those dates yet from the administration. Typically, we try to get them all in, and I know this past year they were virtual as well, and maybe they'll be virtual again. I know again, families like that as well, and so did the staff. So, you know, the other thing we want to be careful of is building relationships and connections with families as well. You know, face-to-face meetings and such have their own authenticity and ability to, you know, look someone in the face and look at facial expressions and body language and such. So we don't want to leave that out of our repertoire in schools, because we are about safety and connections and relationships and equity and making sure that we're able to provide what every single student needs within our district and family.
I was just thinking that sometimes you have a better connection with the school if you actually see where your kid is.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I can't predict, none of us can predict where we'll be when we open schools next year. We don't know that right now. We know what's in front of us in the immediate future, and that's trying to get our schools open this year. And so.
I think we'll have to be flexible, just like we've been this year. I think
Yes.
it's awesome, the flexibility that our district has taken in response to these problems, where people can have what they need, what the students
Yes.
and the parents.
Right, and we've already planned for a keynote for the convocation, and so there's that flexibility. Maybe it's in person, maybe it's virtual. I do know that this year, in spite of the pandemic, we did have a virtual keynote, and the teachers really liked that. Sometimes, you know, when you have a presentation and you're sitting with your small group of people and you're listening and you can have discussions, that sometimes it's more meaningful because it's not like you actually interact as much with presenters. You might have small groups and some Q&A, but so we're planning, you know, we're going to have a normal opening, but certainly we don't want to lose sight. You know, and I won't be here, unfortunately, to carry on some of these things, and this is bittersweet, but we certainly want to, you know, take away, and I know Mrs. Simmons, you're in education, and, you know, there are some things that really worked for kids as well, you know, and so what are those things that worked well for kids? Because again, equity is about making sure that every single student has what they need. It's not about being fair, it's making sure that each individual has what they need to access, to learn, to build relationships, to make connections, to feel important, to feel visible, and to know they matter.
Thank you. Any other questions on the calendar? This is.
Just one more quick one.
Yeah,
I know
Jonathan,
we've bumped up to this multiple times, and I don't know, maybe with Zoom it makes it easier. I don't know. But I'm just looking at the elementary ones at December 16th and 17th, and then, you know, getting then the next week you're right into the Christmas holiday. I don't know, maybe if we survey the elementary parents and ask them similar to what we were thinking for the middle school parents, like, or maybe the combination of parents and teachers giving feedback on that. It just seems like we're bumping right into the holiday break, and in some ways I get that that's great because we're slowly winding down, but on the other hand, it just seems like it's really all bunched together in that last week.
Yeah, understandably. And one of the things that drives this is really about, you know, the number of days. So when you're in a trimester schedule, we have an 180-day school year. So you try to look at 3 60-day trimesters.
Yeah. And
so, you know, and then when you're in a term, 4 terms, which the high school is, and then you would look at, you know, we do about 45 days. So, you know, given half days and holidays, and I looked at that myself, and I think we discussed it, but we'll go back and look at it to maybe move the conferences the week before. But what ends up happening is, you know, we end the term or a trimester on a Friday, and then we give the teachers and the administrative assistants a week, including Mr. Tebow, to get grades in, to review the report cards, and then to issue them. So usually we close the term or trimester on a Friday, and then the report card is issued the following Monday, a week later, and then we hold the conference at the end of that week. The other thing we could do, we don't necessarily have to have it on a Thursday or Friday. We could move it up, issue report cards on a Monday and then have a conference on the 14th and the 15th. So that's something we could look at as well. So why don't we explore that, Mr. Tebow, Mr. DeForge, and I'll get that back to you.
Well, it could be critical that there need to be some practices for some concerts on that 16th and 17th, you know, so. It might be more important than grades.
Let's hope, but I think, yeah, I mean, if you can't move it around and it presents too much of a hardship for our staff, that perfectly fine. It's just, like I said, it just looks really tough. And, you know, I know November and December typically get chopped up pretty hard with holidays and conferences and observances, so.
Yeah, right. And if you actually look at the calendar and you know, how many months do we actually have full weeks? You know, it is. It's
March and May.
Yeah, right. March and May, right. Okay, so we'll take those under considerations and try to. I do agree with you that it is tight, the 16th and 17th, right before the holiday for families. So we'll look at that.
Dr. Malone, the elementary, the parent conferences for, like, you know, elementary, I mean, are radically different than you would have, I think, in the middle school or high school. And I think that, you know, the actual grades don't really matter much at all. I mean, parents, you know, have a feel, and I know our teaching staff are very amenable to meeting with anybody at any time, much earlier there if there's any problems. And do you think that the parent-teacher conferences could be just as effective if they were held, you know, 3 or 4 weeks before report cards even came out? I think the same types of things would come up during the discussions in a much less compressed time schedule. What's your opinion on that?
We surveyed, remember this came up, I think, when we went to the trimester schedule. That was a few years ago, and I think we surveyed parents. Let me see if we can find that survey and get the results. But I thought that the preference was to have the conferences near the end of the term. But I mean, I'm amendable to what works for families.
Okay.
And staff. So we'll look at that survey and I'll look into that, because I do remember we did survey elementary families when we did transition to the trimester format for reporting.
From an educator standpoint, what's your personal opinion on that for elementary reviews?
Well, I think that your comment in the beginning is that the teachers certainly at any time they have concerns or want to discuss with parents, that they're reaching out to parents, that you wouldn't wait to the end of a marking period to let a parent know or a student know there's some difficulty in learning. And certainly, conversely speaking, that parents, I hope, feel very comfortable sending an email or communication to the teachers, and certainly wouldn't wait for a reporting period, report card issuance, to then have a conversation. So I think that really, I think the culture that I hope exists for families and teachers is that two-way communication is something that happens throughout the term of the trimester and not something that we wait for near the end. So I would think that's what I think is important. Certainly, and that's one of our standards is family and community engagement. And again, we have some parents on here, and I don't know. I hope they feel that way, that if they can send an email to a teacher, there are times when you hear from families that they don't want to, they feel like they complain or send something, there might be some negativity around it, but I don't, the educators, we don't feel that way. We need to know, we want to talk with you, and certainly we want to be responsive to the needs of our families and our children.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't know if I actually answered your question, Mr. Quinty, but this is a traditional calendar that you issue a report card and you have a conference.
Right.
I think at the middle school, I think it's favorable to what doing this midterm kind of conversation. We're halfway through the marking period, and so certainly, I think what works for families and most teachers, and that's. As long as there's open communication throughout the school year, and there's not a designated time when a family feels I can't contact the teacher because it's not near the end of the term or it's not a progress report issued. We certainly don't want that kind of culture around communication.
And I know this is not a discussion of grading systems and whatever, but at the high school, middle school, what is the grading platform, and do parents have access to the grading platforms before the end of the term?
Yes, yes, they, and the parent portal, the
Yeah.
parents, yes, have access to grades, assignments, missing assignments, yes.
So
And-
if there's concerns, parents and teachers should be very well aware of it well before any conference times.
Exactly. And certainly we don't want to wait to the issuance of a grade
Exactly.
that, is not acceptable. And because, I look at grades as, really a grade should reflect the learning.
Yep.
What is, we're in, we want to know what has the student learned, not, so what does the grade reflect? What a student has learned, or, we could get into discussion of grading, Mr. Looney, as you know.
Yeah, and that's a big pet peeve of mine. So
Yeah,
yeah, we won't do
exactly.
that.
We want the grades to reflect what a child has learned, not about, well, the child's not paying attention. I've had very rich discussions with teachers who would lower a grade because of behavior. And I said, that doesn't reflect the child's knowledge. If there's an issue around behavior, then you have a section where you can certainly mark that and have a discussion about it, but points shouldn't be taken off a grade because of that. The grade reflects what a child's learning, mastering in the classroom. So that's kind of my educational philosophy, Mr. Cleary. I mean, Mr.
Yeah. Well,
Quinty.
my point was just that we have that through the parent portal, there's constant communication. That
Yes.
there's never not communication. Grades are posted on the portal, and parents and teachers have access to them, and if there's questions, concerns, they're right there.
Right. That's true. And that's why I hope that, there's this two-way communication, that parents feel comfortable emailing a teacher or reaching out and asking for a conference, whether it's a phone conference. Obviously this year we have an in-person conferences, but it's much more, so that would be something that we should take advantage of. So a family, a person who has to work and can't get out of work, but certainly might have time that says, I have 15 minutes where I can have a
Yeah.
Zoom conference with a teacher.
I think that's great.
Right, exactly. And that way, people have childcare, get out of work and you don't have, that this is where these virtual meetings are really going to be beneficial to families. So I think someone said Mrs. Levesque, who's not a panelist, had her hand up. Could you call on her, please, Mr. Tebow? I think she wanted to add something to this discussion.
Hi, Denise, can you hear us okay?
Mrs. Levesque? Okay, sometimes we put our hands up accidentally. And because I know when I was going to announce my retirement, my brother had his hand up and I had to text him and say, put your hand down. He didn't know he had it up. So I said, and anyhow, so maybe it was, accidental. Okay, very nice. Okay, so and again, I always reach out to the committee. There's a one-on-one discussion, or you want to meet about something, or you think of something. After the meeting is over, we reflect after we have a meeting and we think about it, and you think of anything else, obviously feel free to contact me.
Excuse me, Dr. Malone. This is Mike, I think Denise is on now.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, Denise, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent.
Mrs. Lebeck, Mrs. Town texted me and thought you had your hand up. Did you have your hand up, or was it accidentally?
It was accidental.
Okay. Didn't want to put you on the spot.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no apology needed. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
My
Dr.
hand
Malone?
raised.
Yes.
The calendar includes what kind of review for snow days? Because there's probably, are we gonna be able to do, maybe I should ask Mr. Tebow this. Are we gonna be able to do, like, if it's not that bad a snow day, if we can do a total remote day in the future and not have snow days?
Well, unfortunately, that's not a question for Mr. Tebow. And actually, as a superintendent, I'm not able to answer that because that is something the Commissioner of Education will have to grant us. So
Ah.
he told us this year that we could, obviously, his guidance was you can use a remote day for a snow day when it's not safe to venture out and travel. And he also noted that if you had a widespread power outage, you would not be able to hold school, would not be able to count it as a school day. Now, there hasn't been any discussion yet about what he will provide us regulatory under whether we can do a remote snow day, but I'm sure that he will weigh in on it at some point. And the other piece about it is that if he were to do that, we would have to carry over what we've learned about remote days and have a schedule and such. And so, that isn't in place yet, certainly for next year.
Probably refer to Mr. Tebow because of the need for the electronics to make it happen. Right, that's all.
Yeah, well, all our students have Chromebooks now, Madam Chair, and they'll be keeping, so we're a one-to-one district now.
Yeah, so we keep that up.
Yeah, yes, we
That
will.
active, right?
Yes, we will, yes.
I just think it's good kids don't have to go to school till the end of June, that's all.
Right.
It's too hot. Anybody else have any questions on the calendar? In which case we'll bring that back for a vote at the next meeting after this review. Does that work? Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Malone.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number D, the approval of the Keystone Collaborative Agreement to allow Narragansett Regional School District to join the collaborative. And if everybody's to remind that Keystone was formerly FLAC, and it's changed the name to Keystone Educational Collaborative.
Correct. And so it is, if you could just scroll down a little bit, Mr. Tebow, so that everyone can be reminded of the districts that now belong to Keystone. As you know, there's a new executive director, Mr. John DeMonch. It's been great to work with him. He's done a fabulous job taking over. Yeah, right there, please. So this would be the 12th district. It's Ashburnham, Ayr Shirley, Clinton, Fitchburg, Gardner, Leominster, Lunenburg, North Middlesex, Quabbin, West Boylston, Winchendon, and then Narragansett is now going to join. And so the school committees, the district school committees need to vote to accept a new district into the Keystone Collaborative. And I do recommend that the school committee approve Narragansett Regional School District joining the Keystone Collaborative.
Thank you. Is it possible? I know historically we have had the director of the collaborative to come and give a slight presentation as to their programs and stuff. Would that still be happening?
Sure, I can certainly invite Mr. DeMonch. I know that they're in process of a property acquisition. And so the next time we have our board meeting, as you know, I am chair of the board of Keystone. I will certainly ask Mr. DeMonch to join us for a meeting and do a presentation. Absolutely.
If no one, does anyone have any questions regarding allowing Narragansett to join the collaborative?
Not a question, just I'm assuming that that's going to be effective July 1st, as this agreement looks like it's revised as of July.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Good point. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I would accept a motion to accept Narragansett into the Keystone Educational Collaborative.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Michelle, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
And that
And
is
can I just
unanimous.
ask, oh, I'm sorry, who is taking the second on that? I couldn't grab the first voice.
I'll
I
take
think
it.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Moved and seconded, and a unanimous vote to allow Narragansett Regional School District to join the Keystone Collaborative. I think that brings them up to 9. Is that the right number now? Is that, 12? Excuse me.
12.
Yeah, 12, yeah.
Look at the screen, Joyce.
Growth, that's growth. Good for them.
Right.
Yep.
Allows them to, I'm sure, offer more programs that are better economy. So it looks very good.
Yeah.
We now have item number 9, superintendent's report. Dr. Malone.
So thank you, Madam Chair. I'll start with my overview presentation of the reopening of schools. So at this time, I do not have a formal presentation. We will bring you a formal presentation at the meeting on the 17th. Information is still developing, protocols, procedures, and guidance. Today we had a meeting and we were informed, some of this will be repetitive from answering Mr. Larkin's question during public participation. But to start out, as you all know, the commissioner came out and publicly stated none of the superintendents had any idea that he would be making this announcement, that he was expecting elementary students to be back fully in person with a target date of April 5th. Today, so there was a lot of discussion and confusion and anxiety, if you will, around this announcement by the commissioner. I, as your superintendent, was expecting that we would probably be bringing students back fully in person. I stated it on January 20th. We were informed today that so the commissioner was, the Board of Education has to approve this, because what it really revolves around is the time on learning, or structured learning time. And that's how he can force the compliance of districts. And so the board will be voting this Friday, we believe. And so once the board votes, then we'll hear from the commissioner that, yes, indeed, you must open your schools for elementary students on April 5th. And a couple of things about that is that, so this would be a compliance matter. And if we were not to comply, then we could be at risk for the state and the department to withhold Chapter 70 funding, because you have to meet the compliance of time on learning and days on learning. So really the decision to return fully in person, if that's what the board vote, is not negotiable. It's not negotiable. It's not something that the school committee would vote on. Is something that we would have to comply with. The implementation of it would be is different, and something that would be part of the presentation. And so I started last week with the admin team. We started a planning document, and in that document, we listed a lot of the resources and the work that we had done over the summer with the Return to School Advisory Board. So way back, if you remember, we had measured every single classroom, the principals and their assistants, and we have a whole spacing chart with every single classroom and every single school based on sizing the classroom with 20 desks and what that would look like. And it ranged from 3 feet to 6 feet. So we have that work done. The Return to School Advisory Board worked very hard, and they developed 3 models, if you remember, hybrid, remote, and in person. So we have brought that back. We have our Return to School Blueprint, which I will be updating, and that also had guidance in there and schedules for full person return. And so we have a lot of resources and work that we've already done. In the drive, Mike, if you could bring up a parent survey. We've developed a parent survey. Mr. Cleary and I worked on this survey. And right now, what we want to find out from families is, I'll kind of go over it. So of course, the school and the grade is really about where they stand on returning back to school. Scroll down, please, Mr. Tebow. And then, of course, the cohort, and then we'll ask, what learning model, hybrid or remote. Scroll down. And that will take you to what we call logic questions. So if you're in the hybrid model, the next question you'll be asked, excuse me, is should we return, transition to phase 3 with students attending school in person? You're planning to attend school, or would you transition to the remote learning model? We're not asking for names or such. Right now, we're just trying to, in order to now we're probably entering our planning stage. We've been thinking, we have a planning document. So we would need to know, looking at numbers. So I'll give you the high school, for example. Right now at the high school, about 200 and I think Mr. Christie said 3 students returned from remote. So say 220 students right now attend the high school in the hybrid model. Half of those students in the Panthers and half of the Pride. So we need to be able to plan, for our classrooms, for our furniture in the classroom, for desks. And I'm going to talk a little bit about lunch in a few minutes. Scroll down, please, Mr. Tebow. And then if you're in the remote, you answer remote, your question would be, would you continue with the remote learning model, or would your children attend school in person? And of course, there's always a text box for comments, concerns, and suggestions. Scroll down, please. And I wanted to show this to the school committee to get your feedback, some of your parents. And certainly if you, again, we're not going to send this out tomorrow morning. I have to write another communication to families with several items in it, and the link to the survey will be in there. So I'm hoping to send it out at the latest Friday morning. Then we have MCAS. So the Department of Education has informed us that we will administer MCAS this year. And the dates for it, before you go on, Mike, the dates for it will be grades 3 to 8. We'll be taking the ELA and math. Just stay where you are, Mike, for a sec. Yeah, just stay at that one thing. Yeah, 1 second. I just want to kind of give an overview of the dates. Again, I don't have anything written for you. I'm just going to give you this overview. So grades 3 to 8 will be taking the ELA and the math. And it's going to be a shortened test time and sessions, but that'll range from April 5th to May 28th for ELA and math. And then, as you know, students in grades 5 and 8 and 9 have to take the science, and that is in the same time frame. And then the high school students in grades 10 and 11, because it is still a graduation requirement to pass the MCAS, and I'm being very general about passing, but for right purposes of our discussion. And that time frame for ELA and math is running from May 3rd to June 4th, and then the science is June 1st to June 11th. And then we also have to administer the access test, which is the English assessment for English learners. And I informed the committee about this earlier, and that time frame was definitely extended from January 7th through May 20th, and we have scheduled it. And the department, well, let's start with the federal government. President Biden has stated that we must assess students. The Department of Education could ask for a waiver from the federal government, but I don't think they have plans to do that. So therefore, we will be administering MCAS this year. The Department of Education has informed us it's not going to be an accountability assessment where, we get ranked and all of those things, but a diagnostic. So districts would use the MCAS assessment to measure what students learned per grade level. So we have learning standards per grade level. So if you're a 6th grader and you take the MCAS in May, your performance is going to inform your school district, your teachers, your school, whether or not you mastered those learning standards in English language arts and mathematics. There's a lot of discussion and there's a lot of dissent around the administration of MCAS this year, which I won't delve into too deeply right now, but I'm focusing on what we're being directed to do, which is administer it. So we're going to ask families, because we have remote students. As it stands, some remote students will be asked to take it in person. The commissioner, they said they may be exploring a remote option for MCAS, but right now we don't have any further knowledge. So as I continue with my information to you, you can see there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of nuances to all of this. And we're trying to navigate it as best we can and do the best that we can for our students and families. So the next part of this survey asks families, gives them some information. Again, this will be accompanied by a very detailed communication for me in all aspects of what I'm talking about for families to help them understand and what's the context of all of this. So now you can scroll down, please, Mr. Tebow. And so the questions will be, if we're able to, in the remote model, your child, would you prefer your child take it at school during the scheduled day and time of the test? Would you prefer that your child complete it after school hours, late afternoon or evening, or would you prefer that your child would take it on a Saturday morning? Now, we don't know if we're going to be able to offer all this, but we've been told to survey, and these might be possibilities. So now we're in this initial stage of surveying our families and trying to get a real sense of where our families stand and how can we plan to meet the needs of our families. If you could scroll down, Mike, I think that's the end of it. And then we ask for additional feedback. I'm going to stop for a second and take some questions before I continue.
Oh, good. Where do I begin on this? Number one, is there any consideration of asking teachers about whether they want to go back fully remote, fully in person, without having been vaccinated, without PPE, and the distance of the kids being less than 6 feet? You already stated that kids who are remote can stay remote, but with respect to MCAS, asking kids who are remote, and I know this is not you, the Department of Education, asking kids who have been chosen to be remote all year long to come back into a school building when their parents don't feel it is safe for them to do that is not right. And lastly, they want to make it a policy, to get a priority to get kids back to school. But then they're going to take 5 days to test with MCAS. If it's so important to get kids back to school, why are they wasting time testing them while they're in there? And I'll stop there.
Right. One of the things about the vaccination, I will tell you that, as you know, all of you, if you're reading in the news, we're all advocating to get the educators vaccinated. And with this new Johnson & Johnson vaccination, I know that there's a real, and again, this was part of the meeting with the legislators last night to, advocate that this Johnson & Johnson vaccine be prioritized for educators. And I can tell you that there is a real push. You can, if you're on Twitter, where you can get a lot of useful information, and you'll see that there's a lot of advocacy around it. So, what some of the things that you're stating, Joe, are sentiments of many. I'm just putting out what right now I have for a framework to work with.
Understood.
What I've learned, and that's why tonight I just wanted to, because some of this is up in the air. So, for example, we were asked by MASS to, they sent out a survey, and so Mr. Cleary and I worked on it. Like, what are your concerns? What are your issues? And so on and so forth. And so we're not sure, are we doing 3 feet or are we doing 6 feet? Because in the classroom, so if it's 3 feet in the classroom, what does that mean for close contact? So there's still information. Now the department will tell you, well, we've always said 3 to 6 feet. They're saying science is showing that with 3 feet, it's not being transmitted. The biggest concern right now is lunch. And so that's one of the things that the building administration is working on. We'll discuss at length tomorrow. How are we going to serve lunch 6 feet without masks? Because right now, that's where we think we need to be. Now, we were told today that I think it was next week that we're going to be getting some guidance on lunch from the Department of Education next week. So, even for myself as a leader, there's if April 5th is the date, it's going to be here pretty quick. And so there's all of these questions, and I don't have all the answers, and I'll be the first to say it, but I'm trying to do what's best and to get the answers. So we'll see if we get that. You know, they were saying today that, you know, all the European companies opened up and they followed the 3 feet and it was very successful. So, you know, there's a lot of moving parts to this. And I do know that if the Board of Education approves the time on learning Friday, we have to comply. We have to go back. It's a compliance issue. It's not a choice.
So where we had to make decisions about returning to school in the fall, that's no longer on us. This is the state now dictating that
Right.
these school committees no longer have to make that decision.
Yeah,
But then what
correct, yeah.
happens to, what, I still don't understand what happens to teachers who do not want to show up, do not want to come back into the building under those circumstances.
Well, according to us, according to today, they would have to come back, Joe.
Well, and there's many states right now that have already prioritized teachers, or I'm gonna say staff, because I think it has to be the whole building, to get vaccinations. And, you know, maybe we're in a roller coaster and we're gonna see where the roller coaster ends, but.
Yeah, and so the first, we don't know what the date would be for middle school and high school, but that would be the date for elementary school. So
Okay.
that's what we're told today.
Wow.
So, you know, yeah, that's where it stands. So back to, just to give you, again, things that we're thinking about in planning, we're going to bring back our outside, you know, canopies and tents. We're gonna get them set up, hopefully for April 1st. Let's see what else. The bus transportation, as I stated before, and I'll be sending the guidance out to families when I send out the survey. There's no limitations to ridership unless towns or cities are in red. As you know, last week, Air went to yellow, and Shirley went to yellow the prior week. So both Air and Shirley are in the yellow zone. So therefore, for us, if it stays that way, we would have no limitations on the bus, except that the kids we have assigned seating because that's necessary for the contact tracing. The windows have to be open and the students would have to wear their masks. The lunches, as I just said, we're waiting for more guidance from DESE. We're working with the principals. You know, how do we accommodate? Right now, we're thinking 6 feet, and that's what I'm asking them to work with. We'll have more information tomorrow in this planning document. Each school, each department, preschool, special ed, food service has their own planning sheet. And so we're looking at that. What larger spaces can we use? Right now, we're very successful. We've been very successful with lunch. Everyone is 6 feet when they take their masks off. We're looking at the schedules. As far as PPE, Joe, we do have the PPE. We have a sufficient amounts of PPE masks and gloves and gowns, and we're really good there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that we're good with. Wipes, all of that. You know, I don't know, depending on, so right now at the elementary level, we have elementary teachers that are actually doing the remote piece. So this is going to be the tricky part for us. You know, how many will come back from remote to in-person? Will there be people that are in person that say, I'm not comfortable with the in-person model, I want to go to remote? You know, and we're gonna have to look at how will that affect our staffing? I don't know. I can't, you know, would we have a small number of remote? Would we need to bring the elementary teacher back because we can't, you know, let our class sizes be really large? Does that mean we have to hire more teachers? The other thing, and I was going to talk about it when I do my report, but I'll just embed it right now. So the pooled sample testing, we just finished week 2. And so my concern, one of the things that I wrote in the survey that MASS sent out, which is the Mass Association of School Superintendents, was that, you know, what kind of demand is this, additional demand will this put on school nurses? The pooled sample testing is being state funded, and originally it was going to be funded through March 28th, and now they've extended it to April 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's good. But again, if we come back full in person, Would we continue with like a Panther Pride model, still test on Mondays and Tuesdays because the nurses have to do that. The nurses are involved in contact tracing and the nurses have their daily duties. So do we have to hire more nurses? Another thing I was concerned about was the custodial staff. I mean, our custodial staff, we've been working with our existing custodial staff to do the deep cleaning and extra cleaning and all this. So if the students are in 5 days, you don't have that Wednesday. So what is that going to look like? And it's not easy to hire custodians. When we post, we don't get a lot of applications. So, and then the pool testing, I will just update you that, we are testing about 500 staff students weekly. Yesterday's pool, we had 279 total students test, and that pool was negative. We haven't heard yet. Yeah. Renee Payne, she would text me, so she hasn't heard back yet on today's testing, but so that's good. So that's part of my report on the sample testing. And then, we would make a decision if we wanted to continue from the April vacation. So we have, April 5th, if you're looking at a calendar, April 5th is the first full week. So we have 2 full weeks before April vacation. And then we come back on the 26th. So from the 26th on, I think I counted about 5 weeks to the end of school, 5 or 6 weeks, that we'll make a decision. Should we continue with, the pool sampling? We have about 500 testing. So it's about, a little under a third of our population, because that includes teachers. We did have a very good response from staff that wanted to participate in the pool testing. We're keeping it confidential, obviously, but let's see. I think those are the highlights that I have right now. The principals are looking at scheduling the MCAS date. So we have MCAS scheduling, we have advanced placement tests that we have to schedule. So we're trying to do some scheduling, and I wrote that if the students came back before April vacation, a week or 2 before, we need that time for orientation, for acclimation, to work out any kinks, and that perhaps for grades 3 through 8, we'd start the testing after the April vacation, but it only gives us 2 weeks, and you have to do makeups if everyone is absent. So I did ask, or I put in my survey, does he consider extending the ELA deadline past May 7th? And I also asked that, that we're getting the ESSER 2 grant. We haven't written that yet, but if you wanted to use it for FY 21, the deadline is this month, which we're not going to get it written. But I did ask, would there be consideration for us to back charge it? Considering we may have to take over the pool sample testing, we may have to hire new teachers, we may have to hire custodians, we may have to hire nurses. I mean, we just don't know right now. And so, we just can't get the grant written. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day, and, we're working and we're thinking and we're planning, and, so that's my overview. And certainly any questions or feedback, hopefully on the 17th. Between now and then, I'll have definitive information. We'll know on Friday if the board votes. The board votes, and we're going back. And that's what I'll be telling the principals tomorrow. The same thing I'm telling you tonight. That meeting was late this afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to notify them of the board's meeting.
Dr. Malone, one observation and confession about the questionnaire. Catherine goes to school on Tuesdays and Fridays. I don't know what cohort that is. I should probably know the names of these, but I don't know how many. We may have to expound a little bit there. I may be the only person in that boat, but I'm just saying.
That's a good point.
That's all I'm saying.
Yep. No, we'll add that. We'll put the 2 days in with the cohort. That's a really good point, Joe. Listen, this is this is a lot of information, and our families have done really well. And we did the pool sample testing last week, and there was a lot of behind the scene work. I have a saying that I say the administration's anticipation is typically worse than implementation. That's what I found through my years, and it held to be true last week when we implemented pool testing. And, you know, I didn't get anything from families, and when I don't hear anything, I think, okay, we got it right. And, and so, and that's what I tell the administrators, you know, and because they were a little bit nervous, because, you know, they're like, we want to make sure we're testing the right students and, you know, and all that. We had lists and spreadsheets, and me, Bill and Renee did a lot of, it took us about 3 weeks to get this up and running. It's a lot of work. It was a lot of work on the nurses and trainings and webinars and you know, I guess sometimes I want to say, you know, if you followed us around for a day, you'd say, my God, it's, you know, and I don't say that for anything. It's our job and we do it, but it's been a lot this year. It's been a lot. That's all I'll say. And now we have, you know, now we have our next big.
Well, and maybe if we can do an in-person thing at the end of the year, we should have an appreciation for the whole staff. If we can meet in person, which it sounds like we're going to be. The state just came out, and the actually federal government just came out that all the teachers are going to be prioritized through the pharmacy program this month.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I read that too, Joyce. I think they want to try to get them all vaccinated by the end of March. But, you know, I will tell you that, you know, Jim asked me my professional opinion. I will say this, and I said it on January 20th. I do believe if we could get the students and staff back before the close of school, it would certainly make for a better summer and a better start to the next school year. Because if we're coming back now, one would anticipate that we would open in person in the fall. And you know, last night during this meeting with the legislators, the superintendents were talking about, you know, the teachers and the work and the anxiety and, you know, their emotional roller coaster and the support that they need and the exhaustion. And again, you know, I just can't imagine another summer for everyone planning, not taking any time off, and this 24/7 wondering how and when and PPE and distance, all the things that if we could get them back and get some of these kinks out, and people could, you know, end school and say, okay, we did it, we got back, we know what's in front of us, we know we're going to be back. You know, with these, and maybe we'd still be wearing masks. You know, I don't know. I don't know that, but I do think for the mental health and well-being, families and teachers and students, if we could get back before the close of school, I think it would be in the best interest of the well-being of all of us. That's my professional opinion. Having lived through this, you know, it's going to be, you know, March 13th, that Friday of last year is when we decided to close, and then the governor came out and then he closed us all down. So, you know, we're hitting the year mark on this. And I recall, I remember when I shut down the after school programs, and, you know, people got very upset with me. The play was ready to go off and everything. And it, you know, now it was the right decision. It was the right decision. It was a tough decision, but it was the right decision because everything just followed and kept getting worse. And then, you know, then we were shut down. So.
Well, and I think we need to move on to Mr. Kendall and his athletics, because that'll make everybody feel better.
Yeah. All right. I'll finish does anybody have any questions or feedback on anything I've said? Again, if you want to write me an email, I'll be happy.
Jonathan?
I just have one quick thing. So you talked about having the school bus windows open. I know going towards the end of the year, it won't be too bad. I seem to recall you saying at some point that it only needs to be an inch like this time of year. Like that's
Right.
sort of the minimum. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I thought you told me that at some point and I can't remember when. So I just want to make sure that we don't need to have them blaring open on.
Yeah, no, we don't want anyone, you know, experiencing extreme cold for sure. And, but it's all about circulating the air, you know, circulating the fresh air in and out. And so I'll just.
Dr. Malone, just a real quick question.
Sure.
Has there been any talk at any of these meetings prioritizing teachers getting vaccinated? If that is what the state is going to mandate, then, you know, backing it up with putting teachers at the front of the line makes sense, especially when we're looking at other states that have already fully vaccinated teachers.
Well, there's a lot of pressure to get, there's immense pressure, through the legislatures, to the governor, to get teachers vaccinated, yes. But, we haven't, I think Joyce just talked about what Biden said, President Biden said that, we'll have everybody vaccinated by the end of March. So if all of these, if the stars align, that's what we're hoping for. And, it's been very, the governor is very well aware of what, and again, I don't want to put everything on the governor. I'm a leader in a district. I don't want to judge because, until you've been in this position and trying to run something that has never, it hasn't happened in 102 years and make decisions, sometimes quickly, sometimes without a lot of information, you're exhausted, you're up hours, you're thinking, I bear no judgment. I say, be curious, no judgment. So, that's where I stand. And I do advocate, and I think, educators definitely should be prioritized, but I don't know, what the vaccinations, the supply, I don't have all that information. So I try to just advocate for what I think is the right thing to do. So hopefully all of those things come together and our educators can get vaccinated. I know there are educators, we're hearing from our staff that people are, whether you have the 2 comorbidities or, I think the speech therapists, forget the group now. There was a thing that was sent out that the teachers that are counselors. Yeah. So some groups are starting to get vaccinated, which is good. And so hopefully we get to everybody else and
we'll carry on the battle.
Yeah, we're trying. And then the last, I'll just say that I think you all received an email on the CLAPS Collaborative Legislative Breakfast.
No.
You didn't get it? All right, we'll forward it to you. I got it, and it's for school committees and superintendents. They're encouraging, and it's a legislative breakfast for school committee members to hear from and share with the legislative delegation representing the CAPS collaborative districts, and it's short-term and long-term needs of our public schools in the years ahead. So Michelle and I will get that out too. And then we'll move right on to Steve. I sent you, Steve, so I believe that the vote was that we would hold the fall 2 sports season. So I looked that up when Mr. Kendall started to give me the information. So I forward you the plan and in an email, I think, I don't know, last week. I'm sorry if I lose time. Yeah. And so I asked Steve to, we put it back on the drive. He did add a few things to it. He highlighted it. So he's just gonna give you those new things, additions to it. And then if you had any questions, he'll take those. So Mr. Kendall.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Steve.
It's been a couple months since you've had to hear from me about these things. So this one will be a little quicker than the other one. So just a few changes that to the document since the last time I updated it. Both Littleton and Lunenburg have been very gracious and are really renting the fields at basically, I mean, it's going to be almost no cost at all for both of them. It's going to be minimal renting porta potties and then like maybe a little bit of a charge for light usage. But that'll be great. Our kids have been out. They were out at Lunenburg Monday night and they'll be at Littleton tomorrow night and Thursday night and back at Lunenburg on Friday night. So they get the opportunity to practice on a field. I'm hoping, that we'll be able to do a couple on-site practices to make it a little bit easier on the kids once the snow melts, just be able to practice a day or so out there. But it's good for them to be on that turf field. A little better traction this time of year, of course, with the snow. The schedule is set. We're playing 5 games. Most the schools in our pod are, all of them except Lunenburg are 30 students or under. We're at 26 at the moment. 30 students are under on their football programs. Lunenburg, last check, was at 36. So they're not much bigger. So everybody's in the same boat. We're not playing like a Monty Tech where there's 65 kids rolling in on a Friday night. One Friday afternoon game, which will be at Lunenburg, and the rest will be on Saturdays at either Lunenburg or Gardner. And they're hosting all the games in our pod simply because they're turf fields, easy to play on this time of year. And it makes it easy for the athletic directors to be there and help out at all the games. We're probably not going to add that JV team. Just I don't think numbers wise or time wise it makes sense at this point. But it's still under discussion. But that's there. But thank you to Lunenburg and Littleton for being really flexible with allowing us to use their fields this time of year so the kids could get outside and not have to be in the gym. Questions about football before I move on to volleyball?
Sounds good.
Volleyball, basically going to follow, as I said, following the same protocols we had in basketball. As of this moment, no fans are being allowed in the gym. I'm not going to say that can't change because certainly the state made a bunch of changes last week, but we have not met as an athletic director group to talk about that. The games were changed like just the other day to Monday and Wednesday, originally Tuesday and Thursday. Times are going to vary depending on the other schools, but we'd like to be at 4 and 5:30. We will be live streaming the games again, even if parents are eventually allowed into the gym. We'll still live stream the games for the opposing parents and students who may want to watch the game or staff who want to watch the game. And Mike Tebow and Anthony have been really tremendous about helping us set that up for the winter. And it's pretty much, it's idiot proof because I can set it up. So it's certainly idiot proof when it comes to technology because I was able to set it up pretty much every game. I had to call Mike once or twice or maybe 3 times to help me. That the pod is pretty good for volleyball. It's pretty much our league, plus adding in South Lancaster and Monty Tech. So it's a pretty good pod for us. Easy travel. Monty Tech's the farthest trip for us, and it's not even that far. We do that for basketball as well, so that's a pretty good one. Unified basketball, we just moved the date just back to March 8th on that. That was really the only big one, just simply because with Nate Diffin is going to coach that as well. So with football starting up, we wanted to give him a couple weeks of working with the football team exclusively in volleyball this week before he started with unified basketball. That'll be 2 days a week. As of now, that's still skills. I mean, that's also subject to change if numbers continue to improve with a possible 1 or 2 games at the end of the season. But as of now, it's still just the skills and drills there. And then game day cheer. We're currently at 5, although we're doing a heavy recruiting this week to try to get it up to at least 8 to make it viable. I mean, it's a challenge because it's only game day. There's no competitions allowed this season. So a lot of the cheerleaders are like, well, if it's just game day, I'm not interested. But we're hoping to be able to get them in. They can practice. The thing is they can practice their competition stuff so we can get a jump on the fall season because I don't think we have any seniors in the program. But getting kids to buy into that has been a challenge. We're hoping to get that up to 8. And the new cheerleading coach is going to host a Zoom on Thursday to try and recruit some people in. And they'll be working on game days. And then indoor track, that's changed so many times since the beginning of all this. So the start date on that is going to be March 15th outdoors, although we'll be doing some indoor stuff. High jump we'll be doing practice for the high jump in Page Hilltop's gym after school, obviously. So at like 3:45, and there's only a handful of kids who do high jump. And then they'll be using the weight room and the LGI for some conditioning stuff, but they'll be limited to 8 students at a time. And there with very strict cleaning protocols and mask protocols there. And that is now open to grades 6 to 12, which is it always has been. We were just making sure that we didn't have 40 with the number cap. We wanted to make sure the high school students, they have to, but not even that, we wanted to make sure they have to have priority in any sport before you open up to middle school. But it's now open to middle school as well. And the coaches are going to do their best to, especially on the indoor stuff, to keep the middle school and high school students separate during practice. Outdoors, it's not as a big a deal because we have plenty of space to move them, especially if the snow melts, as it's been doing. And then the middle school and softball, baseball clinics, we're at full registration for those. Although if we get outside, we can take more students, but inside, we're at our limits. And both the varsity coaches for the sports will be running those, and it's a good opportunity for the middle school students to have some activity after school. So we're very excited about those programs as well. And thanks to Pete Page and Billy Wright and Mark Goodridge for stepping up and running those programs for us, especially Billy, because he also coaches football. It's a busy time of year for him, but he really wanted to do this because he knows the importance of developing the younger programs.
So,
Any comments or questions?
I just like to say to Steve publicly here that you have done an unbelievable job with athletics. Getting kids to participate in this pandemic has been a monumental task. And I have to say, as a coach for 45 years, learning this year from what you've done and what has happened, what has gone on through all the reports with the live streaming the games and all of the interest that you've created. It just gives you such a great feeling of what it really means to compete, that it's not about winning a state championship or winning a league championship, but just being able to compete, get out there and compete. And I just hats off to you. Tremendous job.
Well, thank you. But like I always try to say, is it's a good team effort. And I've got a great staff. Nate Diffin, National Athletic Trainers Week this week, and we have one of the best that I've ever dealt with, and I've dealt with quite a few over the years. He's been instrumental in everything. And then Justin Lamro came back and helped out a bunch this winter at basketball games, and then just the table staff that I had there. And then Mike, of course, with the tech stuff was, like I said, it had to be idiot proof for me to run it. So he got that going really well. And just the custodial staff has been huge. And the kids and the coaches were just awesome. I mean, we don't run without them. Like, they do everything.
Absolutely.
They've been fantastic about following the rules. And, our kids have called out other schools on not wearing their mask properly during the game. So they've been really good about it. And, we're looking, it's a good reminder to all of us just what sports are supposed to be. It's great.
Absolutely.
We had some great success this winter. I mean, our girls swim team won the league championship. The combined team came in second. Our girls team won the league championship. But, the more important thing was that all those kids got a chance to compete. And, it was a good reminder, I think, for all of us that these co-curricular activities, how important they are to the well-being of the kids, and just being out there and having the opportunity to do something. I know the JV girls were just thrilled to be able to play. We got a handful of JV boys games in, boys basketball, and we're looking forward to how we're very pleased with how it went. I mean, we didn't have any real issues at all during the winter, and I hope, knock on some wood here, that continues through the fall 2 season here and then through the spring. And I'm hoping spring will be a really strong season and everything will be offered. And whether that's going to be a state tournament or a district tournament, I don't know yet, but it's going to be an interesting season, that's for sure. It's been an interesting year and a lot of opportunity for growth for all of us, I think, and it's been a really good. So I appreciate your kind words, but it's not just me, believe me, it's a lot of people. It's all of you guys. It's our administration at the school and in the district, and really everybody really pitched in to make this a memorable season and a really good season for the kids.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Steve. Jonathan, did you?
Yeah, I just was going to sort of echo Joe's comments. Mr. Kendall, I don't know if you were on when Cheyenne was giving her report.
I caught most of it. I missed the very beginning, but I caught most
just to hear sort of what you and Mr. Leone were talking about, the excitement in her voice was, and enthusiasm for what they accomplished, not only locally, but statewide level, right? With stats and going undefeated is awesome. And so again, thank you. My only question was on the volleyball. Are there any volleyball courts around that are outside that they could maybe sneak on if they get some good weather, and so parents can sort of be at least nearby, or is that a thing that doesn't exist?
I don't know that it exists, except like there's sand courts, but that would not be permissible for an MIA event. I can look into it. The North Middlesex AD was looking for places to participate because they were unable to use their gym, but he ended up using their middle school gym. That's an interesting concept. We were looking at it earlier in the year to do if we had done a fall season originally, practicing outside, knowing we were going to use the tennis courts. But it's a good suggestion. I can look into it and see if it's even permissible by MI standards. I don't see why it wouldn't be, as long as the court's the regulation size and the net's the regulation size. It should be doable.
I mean, I'm not
Obviously,
suggesting.
anticipating a revote on the fans allowed in the gym, just simply because the state has opened it up considerably. I don't know that it'll pass. It may or may not. But I anticipate at our next AD's meeting and the next mid-watch principals meeting that Spencer attends, it'll be brought up.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting like going outside on a day like today, but you know,
It was beautiful out there today.
yeah.
The volleyball would be blown away.
You know, but certainly, you know, even if it was an exhibition or something with another school, just so that they can play in front of fans, like I don't know, just a
We'll be able
thought.
to get the senior, for sure, we'll be able to get at least one game in for the senior parents, just as we did with basketball, so that worked out really well. And we'll see what the league votes, but as of this moment, that's where it stands. Like I said, everything here is constantly in flux, and everybody's done a nice job of rolling with the changes and rolling with the punches of this year.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very good. Anything else that you have for us, Steve? Are you done with us? Mr. Kendall?
It's great to see all of you, and I'll see you in a month or so when we talk about spring sports.
Okay, we'll be here.
Thank you,
Not
Steve.
before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on down the agenda, we're on 10 on ongoing business. Do we need further budget discussion, Dr. Malone or Mr. Plunkett?
No, Joyce, that was just if the committee had any further guidance or anything.
Okay, does anybody on the committee have any comment on that? Or questions? Seeing none? Or did someone, Jonathan?
I was kind of muddling over the whole, you know, transfers from E&D to stabilization accounts, but I'm not really sure. You know, I think we're in a good place. Maybe we don't need to include those. Obviously, they have no impact on the budget, but I wouldn't also quite be too opposed if we did have some thoughts to maybe move some cap money around if needed. Or I think we're maxed out on sped stab, right?
Yeah, yeah. You know what, Mr. DeForge, so we were discussing, Mr. Plunkett and I were discussing repairing the wheelchair lift at Laura White and looking at that second bathroom. So we were gonna get some prices. So if we think, you know, we'll bring that back to you if we think, after we get the pricing, okay?
All right, yeah, that's great. Just, you know, if we can roll it into the budget that we present to the towns, you know, obviously it's a non-impacting change.
It would be, yeah, it'd be a non-impact, but it'd be good just to move us forward.
Right,
Go ahead, Dr. Malone.
No, I was just gonna say, I think, you know, prioritize getting the wheelchair lifts fixed at Laura White and installing that bathroom for the staff, I think. You know, and so Mr. Plunkett and I were talking about it. We're gonna get some
like priority items.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Right. Right. Anything else from anyone on the budget? In which case we'll move on. I have to apologize that I didn't get this in the drive, but I wanted to give a quick update on the superintendent search report. And this is going to be quick. I'm not going to put any dates in this because they're still being decided. But the superintendent search is being run by Massachusetts Association of School Committees. And the director of MASC is going to be our representative, so that makes it really nice. The request for services has been issued with our brochure, and the filing of application deadline for applying for the superintendency is March 19th. I've been told that basically they don't get any applications in until just about the deadline, just like the way everybody else works is with deadlines. The search committee of 14 members will start orientation next week, and that will consist of the 4 parents from the various schools, the school committee members, 4 staff from the various schools, 2 students and 2 administrators. So they were notified today of the first date of the work meetings that they're going to have, the workshops, and that's going to be run by MSAC. And they will start working on the preliminary review of applications after a couple of trainings. In addition, a survey is going out to parents and community, and we'll have to figure out how to work all these surveys together so that we don't survey our parents and community to death. There will be community Zoom meetings and teacher focus groups, and MASC will host those meetings and take care of them. The final interviews are going to be, of course, in public. It's not like other interviews for other staff, which are not held in public. So those will be in public at public school meetings, and anyone will have a chance to come and be part of those. The deadlines are being set up, and because after we have a list of candidates, then the school committee will be doing on-site visits with the candidates, and we will have the open interviews. And depending on how many people we have, that could be 1 or 2 nights. So their time is of an essence, and it is continuing on in a very organized way so far. So I just wanted to mention everybody to that. And while this doesn't have anything to do with it, but since Mary just brought up the fact that we've been doing something with the schools, Bob Briggs, Bill Plunkett, and myself toured with the Shirley Finance Committee on Friday afternoon. We did both elementary schools, and they were very pleased with what they saw. So I thought we should throw that in there as stuff that's happening, because it was very pleasant to have them pleased, and they were very, very positive at the end of the tour. We did it after school, and there were no kids. So if anybody has anything on that, I will put out for the next meeting a full schedule of all the dates and everything. I just ran out of time today, and I apologize. Thank you.
Joyce, do you announce the names of the people that are on the
I
committee?
don't know if I have permission to do that, Joe. I didn't get to ask everybody if that was okay, so I have kind of left that out at this point. They were notified today, and we may be getting some people back who don't want to be on it after all of this, so I think I would like to hold on that, please. It's you and Jonathan.
Well, I understand that, but there is a question in the chat. I don't know if you want to.
It's pretty well balanced between people from AIR and people from Shirley, as much as you possibly can do. It's pretty well balanced with the teachers, and certainly can. I just don't know if I can run names. I just feel a little hesitant to do that. That's all. I'm not trying to put it off. I just didn't contact everybody, and I don't know if there's anybody who's refusing, and I don't think there will be, but that hasn't come back yet because it just went out today.
Joyce, can I ask a quick question? Is MASC going to put out the dates before people, decide they can commit, because it's a big commitment.
No, that's going out. That's going out tomorrow or today. It may have gone out today, but the first date for the committee is next Monday night.
Okay.
By Zoom with MASC is going to run all that. Okay.
Great.
So Joe, you should have received something.
Yeah, no, I did. I just there was just a question about representation in the chat, and I didn't know if you saw it.
The representation was the representation that we voted on, which was 4 parents, 4 teachers, 1 from each school, 2 administrators, 2 students. We have 10th grade students, and I'm leaving someone out, 2 administrators. Did I cover it? It's 14. It comes to 14. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, the question was with respect to diversity, and if there were Black, Indigenous, and people of color on the committee?
I didn't look at it from that direction. I looked at it from experience and first of all, wanting to do it, but then the experience and making it diverse and people from with really young kids and people who had been in the district for quite a while, in the parents and in the teachers and in the administrators, the time to do it and the experiences that they were bringing to it to be. It's a very open-minded thing, I think it'll work well. I think we have a lot of talented people, and we didn't look at it probably from that direction. So looking at the whole list, I just don't feel free at this point, Joe, to say names. Because
I understand that. I think we had talked about it because it certainly has been a matter of discussion for quite a while in our diversity and equity committee. And I made it very clear, in my opinion, that we really need to have diverse representation on the committee and search committee. And I just wanted to make sure that was happening. And that, I don't know from the people, I don't know all of the people on the committee. And that's why I was asking the question. I think it's important that we have, as the questioner asked, biopic representation. And so
I think we will have that. I think that MASC knows that we are looking for that in the applicants. And so, that would be helpful. Okay. So I just want to give everybody a quick update to know that stuff is happening and it's moving along. The next item on the thing is, if everybody's happy with that, is the regional school regional agreement by Mr. Quinty.
Joyce, are you working off the June 19th, 2018 markup? I know that Michelle sent out the present agreement that's in force is on the school committee website on the district page, but what form are you working on? I didn't see it in the drive this week.
Mr.
Go ahead, Dr. Malone.
Can I? So Kevin, Attorney Bresnahan, he had the one, and he just emailed me at 4:25, if I could read what he wrote about the regional agreement. He said that, I have not received a response from the attorney at DESE Legal. As discussed, I asked them to review the prior feedback they gave on the proposed amendments to the regional agreement, since it has been nearly 2 years since they first looked at the language. Since the commissioner's approval is required for any changes to the regional agreement, I do not recommend proceeding with the school committee vote on the changes until we have the updated feedback from DESE. When I spoke last week with an attorney about this, I had indicated that the committee planned to review the issue at its meeting this week and hope to get feedback by then. I will notify you as soon as I receive any updated guidance, but would not recommend any votes on the proposed revisions until we receive that. So I just wanted to give that to the committee.
All right. So, Joyce, why don't we just push this to the next meeting?
Yeah, I think that needs to be tabled. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Mrs. Lorraine Wilson is here tonight, the chair of the DEI, and I think she has some recommendations that she wants to present to us. And then if I could just skip forward a little bit, since it's 9:30 at this point, Jonathan, can we save your stuff to the next committee meeting?
I have 2 sentences.
Okay.
I don't have much.
All right, so if you want to go after Lorraine, we'll keep it on there. Just trying to not keep us here till midnight.
Understood.
Lorraine? Hi. There she is.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh, can you see me? I can't see myself, so so I'm glad you can see me. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair and other members of the committee. We have included some information in your packet about a few recommendations that are coming forth from the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion committee. But before I go into those, I just wanted to say that we have had another meeting since I've been at the school committee, and that was a good meeting, an open meeting, where we talked a little bit about the differences between implicit and explicit bias. And Ciara Latimer gave a good presentation on that, with some resources from the Steve Fund, and we looked at a clip, part of a movie clip, and sort of had some open discussions about that. And then just a couple of other things. One is that we're looking at, so we'll be meeting this coming Thursday again, and we'll be looking at putting some possible DEI resources on our website, and looking at other examples of school systems that are doing that, and also considering the potential for a school community film event, which Lincoln Sudbury is doing, and we're sort of in looking at Mary's Dr. Malone's 3 steps of things, thinking, planning, and executing. We're at the thinking stage. We, another member of the committee and I had a chance to preview the video, the movie this weekend, and look at it from a lens of whether or not it would be appropriate for our community. So we're going to be talking about that on Thursday. But it's fairly elaborate because you offer the film virtually and this between Saturday and Monday, over 1,000 people watched it. Then there'll be a follow-up panel discussion tomorrow, which I'll attend, and the other member of the committee who saw the movie will attend as well. And then there are breakout groups on Saturday that will have smaller groups to talk about the film. So if we were to do it, we would sort of think about that as a way to do it, but we're really just in the thinking stage about that. So in terms of the recommendations, there were 3 categories of recommendations. One was around professional development. So we've included for your review a document of professional development suggestions from the DEI committee. And one thing I did say to the committee is that I would commit to working with Mr. Caleri and talking about our current professional development plan and all of the things that we're offering, and sort of cross-referencing those 2 documents. So just having you know that, as you review the professional development suggestions for the district. Then there's a recommendation around considering a survey for students and parents around school climate, and with a particular lens to DEI related issues. So that's for your review. And then the third item was a recommendation to make a heartfelt statement publicly around our commitment to anti-racist practices. And you can read the sort of some of the language that's being put forth around that for your consideration. And then just one other thing that I didn't mention is that, the school committee did adopt an anti-racist resolution that we have, proudly in our schools. However, there was a public representative that was at the meeting representing, I think it was the Shirley Democratic Committee, just talking about whether or not we might consider making that anti-racist resolution more public. And there have been some towns where, and this is sort of what I talked with the committee about, some towns where the town, select board or what have you, sort of co-signs on with something like this or comes out with it themselves, but they felt like the language was really bold and strong, and they thought that it would be a good idea to have that be more public. It is on our website. It has been discussed at the school committee, and so just thinking about a little bit more about whether or not that's something that we would do. And that is it for my report.
Oh, Joyce, you're on mute.
I know. Have you already worked with Mr. Cleary on this professional development recommendation?
He has seen it and I have seen it, but we have not had a chance to get together yet and sort of cross reference what we sort of already have in place, because there are some things, just knowing, having read both collections of documents, there are some things that the DEI Advisory Committee is recommending that we are currently using in some form or fashion, that maybe, and then there are some things that maybe we aren't. So but we haven't had a chance to sort of go into the details around that yet, Mr. Cleary and I.
So that would be something that you would try to achieve. I don't know when our professional development needs to be completed.
Yeah, the plan that they put forth is really starting in the summer and sort of going through the end of next year. So certainly it gives us some, some things to consider in our planning for this, for the staff, and one thing some districts are doing is sort of encouraging, staff to bundle, because we have to do this for DESE anyway, to have professional development points count, sort of bundle some together on diversity, equity, inclusion. So maybe having that be a recommendation or a suggestion for that staff do that. So putting a particular emphasis on it by saying, we're recommending that staff, do 15 hours or something of that nature. That's kind of the standard that's used by DESE for hours that you can count together.
And then since we've already worked on the budget and approved the professional development budget for next year, what would be the considerations for putting things together?
Yeah, I think that is something that we have to look at in terms of things that we can offer sort of internally, and a lot of resources that are free or low cost, and then the budget that we have for either looking at things like curriculum or having speakers in or programming. And I think that's something that Mr. Cleary and I will discuss when we go through the document more in depth.
So we have these documents tonight, and we've been looking at them. What would you expect from the committee next?
So I think, having a chance to read them and consider whether or not you would have, the administration move forward on some of these items. I know the professional development item is something that we had sort of already been planning to move forward on. We had more sort of one consideration for the survey that I think the committee could think about is sort of the, if we put out a survey as the district, that we'd want to be transparent in that data, but also that where would that data sort of live? And I think it would live, with the district and then sort of be shared with the committee, but that's something to think about. And then as far as the statements, I think just considering what statements have already been made, and potentially, considering an additional public statement around our stance on our anti-racist practice and things like that.
Madam Chair, yeah, thank you. So around the professional development and that discussion, and then the survey. So I think that they're connected. The professional development, I think these are that would be taken under advisement by the school committee, because I don't know, we get the documents in the drive. I don't know how much time you've had to review. Obviously this is a very dense meeting. And I think that the survey as well, when you do send it, I think that could connect to professional development as well.
Absolutely.
So I think they're connected, and I don't think it's, you can do it in isolation. And I also, so I think, the committee would look at the survey and, give feedback around the questions, kind of like what I showed you tonight. you're gonna, you could give me feedback, and I won't be sending it out for a few days. So I think that was the intent. I'm looking at the PD. I don't think Lorraine's had a chance to really sit down with Mr. Cleary, but I do feel that feedback from families would help drive some of the PD around the district. And and we do have, different offerings and workshops going on right now. As a matter of fact, I'll just really quickly tell you, because I know it's getting very late. Last week, the Mask held a DEI workshop, and I went on to it at 6 o'clock. And it was done by Dr. Khalees. I think Charlie's her last name. What's her?
Warnham.
Yeah.
Warnham, yes.
Yeah, Warnham. And so I was so pleasantly surprised because she was talking about districts and how do educators, administrators, become culturally proficient. And she held up this text, which is the exact text that the administrative team is doing their book study on in the district, called Cultural Proficiency. So I really, it was really affirming and exciting that we selected a text that was being recommended by an expert. So, we're doing that work. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, before we work on the reopening, we'll be having a breakout session and discussion on chapter 4, which are tools for cultural proficiency. So we're moving through that text and having some rich discussions and building, skills around cultural proficiency for all educators, for the administrative team first, and then for educators. So I think it's all connected. And so I would think about, I would make that recommendation about the survey and connecting it to the PD, because obviously the PD would be offered during the summer, Mr. Cleary, and we always have a summer professional development catalog and offering. So certainly that would be all connected. And
I think,
go ahead, Lorraine.
right. I think Dr. Malone, you're absolutely right, because we want to look at what the needs are and sort of lead with the need, and also think about doing the survey in fairly short time so that we know sort of what those needs are and can plan for the summer and what that might look like. So I think it would be good if the members of the committee could take a look at the survey and sort of give the DEI advisory committee some feedback around, wording of questions or just any concerns you might have about that. That would help us in our direction.
Just a quick question about that. Thank you for all of this, the whole DEI committee. This is great. Great books are being suggested. I like everything that you presented. Around the surveys, because I did have some questions and a few concerns. Should I direct those to you, Lorraine?
Sure, or myself and members of the committee, if you, Ciara, Latimer, Michelle Aflam, myself.
Okay.
Right. But if you send them to me, I can make sure that forward them on, yes, and get those to the committee. Absolutely.
And the other thing I would think about, the consideration be given to context. So when you send out a survey, what's the context of what the survey is being, described about, like given some context in a district and history. And
that's a good idea.
About, I think it's important, like before I send out the parent survey about reopening schools, I'm writing, information to give context and knowledge for which they can then go and answer questions. I think that's important, because if you're doing a survey, you don't really know why, what purpose and all of that. I think,
right.
I don't know if you'd get the
So maybe a letter that would accompany the survey, or the email that would go with it.
Yeah,
Sure.
Detailed context, why we're doing this, and so on and so forth, and what we're going to do with the results.
Yeah, but it was just, it needed some introduction.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that people understand
what it really is.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
So Lorraine, thank you for your presentation. I thought it was awesome. With respect to the survey, I think the survey is really well done. I think Ciara did a exceptional job of leading leading the committee through putting together so that the results that you get will be very informative. Perception, I just wanted to say, perception is reality. So whatever people are perceiving is their reality. Whether we see the same thing or not, it's their reality, and we need to figure out how to deal with that as a district. The timing of the survey is the thing that I think is going to be the most difficult to figure out, because it is extremely important, but yet there are other issues, obviously, the reopening that are extremely important as well. And so I think the timing of it is critical. It shouldn't be put off, but it also needs to be, kept in mind that people have other things to do as well. And I think that was what I remember. One of Ciara's concerns was that we don't overburden parents and kids with surveys to do. So good luck with the timing of that.
Right.
I fully support whatever you decide, because I think that the survey is an excellent one, and I think it needs to go out as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Leone.
Well, the timing is interesting too, just because if we're reopening schools and then some kids who haven't been in school are going to be in school, and
Right.
it's the usual COVID crazy is what I call it.
Yeah, and sometimes when we have student surveys that go out to parents and students, we have opportunities for students to maybe complete those at school in a homeroom or
Right.
whatever, but we have to really think about that with the reopening and sort of how that would,
Right.
fall into place or not,
And so your next meeting is Thursday night
Yes.
at
Yes.
what time?
It's at 7:30.
Okay,
And then
thank you.
the following meeting after that is the night after school committee. I think it's the 17th. I mean, the 18th, March 18th.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything
Madam
else?
Chair, I
Yes,
just have
sir.
one quick question.
Please.
On the student survey, is that what age, what grade levels? Is that K through 12, or is there sort of a cutoff in there?
I'll have to talk with the committee about that. I think it was meant for middle and high school.
Yeah, I think it was 5 through 12.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That was
so that
one
would-
of my concerns, because in the student survey, I think you could choose grade 1. So, I just, there's some pretty big words and concepts for
elementary. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was intended for grades 5 through 12, but I may be misremembering.
Good input.
Thank you.
I'll
I
get some
appreciate it.
clarification on that.
Good input.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else for us, Lorraine?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lorraine.
I promised
you, Lorraine.
Jonathan 30 seconds.
I have to unmute first. So Jim and Cheryl and I met twice to go through the sexual harassment policy. It's been tuned back to a fully just sexual harassment policy based on the attorney's feedback. The third revision has been cleaned up and sent to the attorney for review again with the, hey, we'll probably take your feedback one more time and then get you to come to a policy subcommittee meeting just to bang it out what's left, because there were some parts we had confusion on. So that's my 30-second spiel. We're waiting for the attorney. Bottom line.
Good job, Jonathan.
There was 10 seconds too long, Jonathan, but we won't hold it against you. Okay. Just because it is approaching 10 o'clock and the committee still has to do an executive session tonight. If we can kind of just skip everything else and postpone it till our next meeting, which is in 2 weeks. The only note that I have is that the Finance Committee and Shirley is taking up the Fields project tonight, so we will know tomorrow. Anything else? Communications, Ms. Communications Person.
Oh, Mr.
Oh, Mr. Why did I
All
keep
right.
thinking Cheryl's doing?
Nope, that's me. So I will go very quickly. Wednesday, March 3rd, progress reports issued for grades 9 through 12. Thursday, March 4th, diversity, equity, and inclusion subcommittee meeting, 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. Wednesday, March 10th, Special Education Parent Advisory Committee, also known as CPAC, 7 p.m. Via Zoom. Wednesday, March 17th, no school, Professional Development Day for teachers. Wednesday, March 17th, same place here, school committee meeting, 6:30 p.m. Friday, March 19th, trimester N2 ends grades preschool through 8. Monday, March 22nd, progress reports issued grades preschool through 5. Thursday, March 25th, half day of school for grades preschool through 5 and evening parent-teacher conferences with dismissal at 12:25. Friday, also a half day, grades preschool, the 26th, also a half day for preschool through 5 and afternoon parent-teacher conferences, dismissal at 12:25. Monday, March 29th, progress reports issued grades 6 through 8, and happy 100th day of school for those celebrating.
We're counting it.
Madam Chair, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
please.
You know, given this late hour, what I was going to review in executive session, I can do it at the next meeting.
Okay.
It is really late. It's not anything that had to be decided upon tonight,
Well,
so.
there's big things that have to be worked on tomorrow, like reopening schools, and
Exactly.
there's a
So,
number of
like I
people
said,
here
I
who
can
have to
do
get up
it
early.
Yeah, I can do it in a week and a half, and when we have the next meeting, we can hold it before the school committee starts.
I just didn't know if maybe Mr. Cleary would like to say what the professional development is going to be on March 17th.
Well, I'm gonna, not to speak for Mr. Cleary, but we're probably gonna look at working on reopening schools with the teachers, waiting. Announcement. So, yeah, you know, so that.
Well, you know, when the hurricane comes through, you have to.
Right.
You have to
Right.
put
So
up the-
yeah, so we have that. We have March 17th, and remember, we have one more day for teachers. So we're holding a day and a half at Bay to give teachers time to do some planning and all of that. If this is where we're going to be going, sooner than we thought. I mean, April 5th was certainly not a date that we were planning for so soon. So.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody, for staying late. I really apologize. We had some very important things to do tonight, like the program of studies and the budget, not the budget, well, the budget and everything else. So thank you very much. I allowed this to be too full, and we'll try not to do this again, even if we have to have another meeting. We will not go into executive session. So I will entertain a
Motion to adjourn.
motion. See, I can't do anything.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. Who
Second.
else said that? Mr. Leone?
Joe and then Cheryl.
That was Cheryl.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And if Michelle Town has not dismissed us, can we have a roll call vote, please, Michelle?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
All right.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
That is unanimous. And I'd like to thank Michelle and Michael for all their assistance that they give us in these meetings.